I don't want to play head games with you, but it feels like the first time that the Cubs are in town this year to play the Mets. Mets have been cold as ice for most of the season, but Met fans, they're still hot-blooded for their team. The season begins to get urgent tonight. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Chicago Cubs. Friday Night Baseball is presented by Time Warner Cable. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets open a weekend series against the Chicago Cubs. And oh yes, Foreigner is playing in a post-game concert. You know, the Mets have not been hitting much. They're trying to get some younger players into the lineup. But the player who's been carrying them recently is one of their older players. Marlon Byrd was picked up after a horrendous year last year, was released twice, and he has been the Mets' best offensive player of late.
Well, since May 1st, Marlon has a slugging percentage over 600, 9 home runs, 21 RBIs, and 6 home runs in his last 12 ball games. 35-year-old here was really a pickup and a throw-in, and just kind of a hoping he can help out the ball club. And here he is, as you said, Gare. He has been the big guy in the lineup. They moved him up behind Duda. Now we got a change in the lineup. Duda's hitting cleanup. Bird's in the 5th spot, and he deserves to be there.
A couple of struggling pitchers on the mound tonight. The Mets will go with Sean Markham. He's 0-7 on the year, but he showed in his last outing, that 20-inning game against the Marlins, what he can contribute to this ball club.
Well, I hope this makes sense out there. The best start he's had was in relief in his last appearance. He was outstanding, 8 innings. He threw over 100 pitches. Almost 80% of them were strikes. 23 to 28 batters he faced. First pitch strikes, just an outstanding effort. And, of course, looking to get that first win.
And on the other side, Edwin Jackson, who signed a big free agent contract with the Cubs in the offseason, he has really struggled, although he pitched well in his last start.
His last start was not bad against the Bucks. 7 innings, struck out 8, but they signed him for $52 million. They expect more than a 2-8 record.
So it's the Mets and the Cubs meeting at Citi Field. Mets took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs when they visited Wrigley last month. Mets and Cubs, all the action coming your way from the big town on SNY.
Time Warner Cable. Watch even more sports on more screens in the house with Time Warner Cable Sports Pass, the best value in sports. Call 1-800-TW-CABLE. By This Is the End, now playing in theaters. By Verizon Wireless. By Subway Restaurant, Subway, eat fresh. By Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on the most innovative lineup ever. Shop at ChooseNissan.com. And by Macy's. Get out to Citi Field for tons of family fun with the Mets Family Pack. You can buy a ticket, see the game, and get a hot dog, french fries, and soda starting at just $23 each, which equals big savings. Get to Mets.com for tickets. Driver on the Majors presented by Volkswagen. In the wake of that big brawl between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, 8 are suspended, including Ian Kennedy, the pitcher who precipitated it. He gets 10 games, the biggest suspension of all. Troy Tulowitzki, a broken rib, a huge blow to the Rockies. Tulowitzki was playing great. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. And Brandon Beachy will make his season debut for the Braves on Tuesday against the Mets. I don't know if he'll face Matt Harvey or Zack Wheeler that day. Wheeler is scheduled to make his major league debut Tuesday night against Atlanta in that day-night doubleheader. Sean Markham pitching tonight. His first pitch is coming right up. Much more sports on more devices in the house than anyone else. Call 1-800-TW-CABLE. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy sports better. A brilliant night here in Flushing. Temperature in the upper 60s as we approach game time. There's your Hyundai starting lineup for the Cubs, who had lost 8 of 10 before winning a 14-inning game from the Reds yesterday. Nate Scherholtz has been their best offensive player so far this year. Anthony Rizzo has fizzled over the last month. He was hitting the ball well when the Mets were in town at Wrigley last month, but has cooled off since then. Sean Markham still looking for that elusive first win of the season.
Well, you see the Jaguar stats here of Sean Markham. Hits innings, pitch fine, doesn't walk anybody. He's only given up 3 home runs, so he keeps the ball in the ballpark. And the Cubs have been struggling offensively. This is a good mark for him. You know, it's so funny. Markham's scratching at that surface in front of the mound, the rubber, like a goalie does before a hockey match. Just scratching that ice. Really dug deep down. It's almost like he is one of those guys that likes to have that mound like you were when you were a kid, when it had that big hole in front of the mound.
And we'll take a look at the Lexus Metropolitan defense. And 6 errors this month. They've been playing good defense. Although when they have made errors, they've cost them. That's what happens when teams go bad. Lagares in center field. 17 start in center. Has not started in any other position. And very interesting two-toned. Who's that for? Ronnie, is that for you?
I doubt it. I doubt it. That's very interesting.
John Buck sending a message to somebody.
To De Jesus? I mean.
Well, they did play together in Kansas City, didn't they?
How do you mean that?
No, you know, I meant it funny. Come on. Don't go all Baylor on me or something. Come on.
Don explaining himself to Gary Cedarstrom, the home plate umpire, before he goes to work here. So Sean Markham, fresh off his 8-inning stint in relief his last time out, throws his first pitch up and away for ball 1. De Jesus has struggled against Markham, just 3 for 23 against him. Markham pitched for Milwaukee, remember, so he's seen the Cubs before, and he's 4-0 lifetime against Chicago in 5 starts. And De Jesus, the New Jersey native, takes a strike, and it's 1-1. David grew up in Manalapan and went on to Rutgers.
In fact, there's some great numbers that Markham has against a lot of these Cubs hitters that he faced, like you said, Gary, in that NL Central.
Starlin Castro on deck, then Nate Scherholtz. And there's the curveball. And he gets ahead on De Jesus, 1-2.
Well, the Mets took 2 out of 3 at Wrigley earlier, a couple weeks ago, Gary. You and I were there.
We were indeed. It was a memorable experience.
Always.
Markham at 0-7. The last Met pitcher to start a season 0-7 was Mike Pelfrey in 2007. He began with 7 straight losses. But Markham has really picked it up. He, of course, began the season on the disabled list. Struggled when he first came back. And he catches the inside corner. Strike 3 called. Jesus caught looking for the first out of the night.
Well, if he has this pitch going, that's when he gets a lot of his strikeouts. It's that inside fastball to lefties that tails back over the middle. That'll end up right almost middle. Catch a lot of the play.
Well, the type of pitcher that Markham is, with a lot of off-speed stuff and dipsy-doing around the outside part of the plate, it's a very good pitch with 2 strikes on the batter to pop him inside with that fastball. He's like a reverse right-hander. It's really like a left-hander.
Yeah.
Here's Starlin Castro. In just 243, he had been in a deep slump until yesterday when he had a 3-hit game against the Reds. Castro, when the Mets were in Chicago, was up among the league leaders in hits, but he went through a 4 for 48 skid.
Ooh.
And he chases that pitch off the plate, and it's 0-2.
That's what he is. He's a free swinger, but coming into this game, 509 games, 594 hits. He gets his hits.
And he plays every day. This is 261st consecutive game, the second longest active streak in the majors. Only Prince Fielder at 408 has played more consecutive games. Cutter off the plate, and it's 1-2 to Castro with Nate Scherholtz, the number 3 hitter, waiting on deck. And that'll tell you how the Cubs offense is going, that Scherholtz has won his way into the 3rd spot in the batting order. Guy was very much a complimentary player in San Francisco. 1-2 to Castro, and he pulls it down to 3rd, and David Wright handles the hop. And the favorite young Cub throws out a Cub, 2 out. Gary Cedarstrom is your home plate umpire tonight. He's the crew chief and a very young group with him. Vic Carapazzo is from the New York area at first, Lance Barrett at second, and Lance Barksdale, a 2 Lance crew. So here's Scherholtz. .297, .558 on base percentage. He's got 8 home runs, 17 doubles, 2 triples. He's had a very nice year for the Cubs, platooning in right field.
It's interesting that we just showed you Starlin Castro. I mean, I know that you got a team here that's struggling. He literally walked from the third base coach's box into the dugout. And you know what? It doesn't take much to trot off when you make it out to trot into the dugout all the way. It just doesn't take much. It looks bad. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Should be a pet peeve of everyone's. I mean, that's just part of what you do.
It's a reflection on the team, and it's a downer. And like the team is down, and you know that's one thing I'll say. Gary Carter always hustled in and out from home plate with those bad knees, no matter whether he was red hot or in a slump.
Well, Castro has had some issues with the Cubs over the last few years. He's had to be disciplined when he wasn't paying attention in the middle of a game, and not hustling after balls at times. He's an interesting player because he's obviously a good hitter, and he goes out there and he plays every day. Smacked in the air to deep right field. Back goes Bird, takes a look, and that's out of here into the Pepsi porch. Nate Scherholz with his 9th home run of the year, and the Cubs jump out to a 1-0 lead.
Well, Scherholz had a terrific series against the Mets in Chicago, and boy, he jumped in that high fastball.
Mets have always had trouble getting him out. Back to his days with the Giants. He's a .337 lifetime hitter against New York, and he put one up in the Pepsi porch against Markham to put the Cubs up 1-0.
Didn't wait around, did he? Outside corner it looked like, but he just bell tie a little bit up.
You can get away with that pitch if it's down. You can't when it's up.
Just the 4th home run allowed by Markham in 49 2/3 innings this year. Now Alfonso Soriano. Soriano with 7 home runs, 28 driven in. 7-time All-Star. And he flies one out to right, and Bird comes toward the line and has room to make the catch. That retires the side, but Scherholz's home run puts the Cubs on top early. Mets come to bat against Edwin Jackson, trailing 1-0. Same lineup. Terry Collins shaking things up a little bit. He moves Murphy out of the cleanup spot back into the 2-hole and puts Duda in cleanup. Quintanilla down to the 7th spot, and Juan Lagares gets a start in center field after Kirk Neuenhuis started the last 3 games in center.
Well, these are the Toyota numbers for Edwin Jackson and his enigmatic career. He's been an all-star. He's thrown a no-hitter, but he's 72 and 79 in his career. And after signing a 4-year big contract, 2-8 so far for the Cubbies.
And we'll take a look at the Coors Light Chicago Cub defense. Well, Barney can pick it. We know that. It's just about his offense. He's really struggling at the plate this year, almost hitting under the Mendoza line. Castro, as we mentioned earlier, very talented at shortstop. And I'll tell you what, Valbuena at third base has got a nice glove. He impressed me in Chicago with his glove at third base.
Those 53 straight games for Barney, no big deal. Last year he had 141 straight games, which tied a major league record. Jordani Valdespin leading off again tonight. Hitless in his last 9 at bats, hitting .219 for the year. And Jackson misses high for ball 1. What is it about Jackson, Ronnie? He's got good stuff. He doesn't throw nearly as hard as he did a couple of years ago, but he's got a nasty slider, and on a given day he can be dominant.
You know, I think what happened to Edwin is that he was brought up before it was his time. He was 20 years old with the Dodgers, and I don't think he got the right foundation, because what has happened to him is that he'll have 3 or 4 great innings, and then he'll just lose it over an inning or two. He's never been able to sustain that excellence over the course of a game. Now, he'll have some games. I talked about the no-hitter he threw. He'll have some amazing games. He can shut you out. But those are few and far between.
At his best start of the season, his last time out against the Pirates. Valdespin, late swing, almost kept it fair. Just missed down the line, and it's 1-2.
Well, I'd like to see Valdespin do that more, to tell you the truth.
Yes, he has to be a kind of he can cut and slash, as we used to call it.
Daniel Murphy back in his more comfortable 2-hole on deck. David Wright behind him. The other thing about Jackson is he's a very slow worker. Valdespin fouls it back. He pitched that game against the Pirates last Sunday, allowed just 1 run and 4 hits over 7 innings, and struck out 8. A 4-1 win, just his second win against 8 losses.
Well, he has all the tools. It's probably puzzling to Dale Swaim sometimes, the Cubs manager. He's a great athlete. He's got a slider that can put you away. He throws 90+.
1-2 to Valdespin, and he gets him with the slider. So Jackson strikes out Valdespin for the first out. And now Daniel Murphy, who faced Jackson back when the Mets were at Wrigley in May.
Well, opposite field home run here. And that was a day, Gary, when the wind really it was against him. They hit the line drive into the wind. When you hit a line drive in the gap, remember Wrigley Field is 368, so it's very shallow. But when the wind blows in, the only way you can cut through is with a line drive, as Murph did.
Murph likes playing at Wrigley.
So did I.
And a 2-home run game there last year. He's only got 5 home runs for the season. If he played on the north side, who knows what he might do. Murph at 283 for the year, tied for 5th in the league in doubles with 19. And Jackson pours a fastball over, and it's 1-1.
Well, they told Jackson, Chris Bosio, the pitching coach, that they felt that Jackson was trying to keep a little reserve in his tank. And he was the results. Obviously, look at the results, 2-8. They told him, Bosio said, let it air it out, and we'll let you know when you run out of gas. We'll get someone in.
Well, and that's been another issue, is that he doesn't go very deep in games.
Exactly. And we talked earlier, we showed they played extra inning ball game. Their bullpen was taxed yesterday. There's Chris Bosio, former Brewer.
It's a no-hitter for the Mariners, I believe. Their first in franchise history.
Two and one to Murphy, and he slaps one, and that goes just foul, just as Valdespin before him. Well, Keith referenced it a moment ago. The Cubs played 14 innings against the Reds yesterday and won it in the bottom of the 14th inning on a Julio Bourbon RBI single. But in the process, they used 6 relief pitchers for 8 innings. So this is one of those days when, if you're Dale Swaim, you're asking your starter to go a little deeper into a game.
Well, I always am amazed because
You know, Ronnie and I come from an era where there was only 10 pitchers. Now you got 12, 7 in the bullpen when there used to only be 5. But the game has changed in that regard, and we are contemporary. We'll go with the flow.
But if you're the Mets offense, you just want to get Jackson out of there. You want to score runs early and often and get into that bullpen.
Right, and the other side of the coin is the new philosophy is to go get him, take pitches, get him deep into pitch count. My feeling is always offensive. That to me is defensive thinking. Knock him out with line drives.
3-2 from Jackson, and the breaking ball popped up. Castro circling in, and that's the second out. Well, Jackson is a guy who has averaged less than 6 innings per start this year. Only 3 times this year has he thrown as many as 100 pitches in a game. So you don't really even have to push his pitch count up that far to get him out early. So he may be asked to go out of his comfort zone today with that game the Cubs played yesterday.
His reputation is that once he starts to get in trouble, it's going to happen quickly.
Now he'll take on David Wright, whose bat has really come alive the last couple of days. David 5 for 8 in those last 2 games against the Cardinals.
You know, we're talking about Jackson as if he's a 37-year-old veteran. He's only 30 years of age.
Well, he's already with his 8th different team. He came up when he was 20 with the Dodgers, who originally drafted him as an outfielder and then converted him to pitching. And you talk about him not having maybe the foundation, Ronnie.
Yeah.
You know, you get a kid who has been a position player all his life, and he had a very short time in the minor leagues, and all of a sudden, because his stuff was so good, he was on a big league mound.
And it's hard to learn in the major leagues. You know, taking a beating here and there when you don't know what you're doing.
Saw the graphic there that Jackson was born in Germany. His dad was a staff sergeant in the Army for 20 years. He's behind on Wright 2-0 with Duda on deck. And David takes a rip, 2-1.
The thing that makes Jackson tough when he's at his toughest is that he'll go 2-0 on you, and you're expecting him to center one for you, and he'll throw one down with a little movement. I would make him work a little quicker if I was his pitching coach. I think that would help his command.
That's always been an issue with him. And David takes one the other way for a base hit. Schultz gets over to cut it off, and Wright has himself a 2-out single.
Well, he got a similar hit, his second at bat off of Wainwright yesterday, where Wainwright got ahead in the count. There's a 4-seamer running.
You know what's interesting about David? That 20-inning game a week ago, he was 0 for 6. He got 3 hits in his last 3 at bats, all to right field, and it's almost like he's gotten into a good way of going that way for his base hits.
Like as I said, with Wainwright yesterday had him ahead in the count and opted to go with the curveball. He got the base hit up the middle, and then a fastball away with 2 strikes. And there Jackson goes away. And David is really, look at this defense out here. My goodness.
Cubs did this against Duda when the Mets were in Chicago. They put on the full shift against him. Duda with 11 home runs on the year. And he takes a rip at a fastball, 0-1. And you got Marlon Byrd, who's a hot hitter on deck. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to take the bunt for a base hit and put 2 men on for Byrd.
You see it up the middle, though, Keith. Castro's kept his position. They've moved Valbuena on the right side of second base.
Well, they played that defense with that overlapping third baseman against Duda that whole series in Chicago. But very few teams have done this against Lucas.
Well, you know what? In the outfield defense, too, really basically is a slight pull. You can't even really call it a slight pull to center field, but Soriano's pretty much playing him straight up. And Duda has hit balls in the air to straight up left field, but everything on the ground with Lucas has been pulled. So this is just good scouting report right here.
Marlon Byrd waits on deck. Marlon homered for the only Mets run in yesterday's game. Now it's 2-1 to Duda, and he fouls back the fastball. 2-2.
So Lucas has just been under the ball too much. He's dropping that back shoulder, and it makes him a low ball hitter. And you want that, but there you see the direction of his outfield hits, which is predominantly pull, but there's still the fact that he does hit the ball in the air to left field 9 times, as you see.
He makes some outs to left field,
yes.
You know?
I'd like to see Lucas just try to get more on top of that pitch, belt high up. Don't drop that back shoulder so much, and he wouldn't foul him back so much. It would be, there's a strike 3 right there and a breaking ball.
So Jackson, a couple of strikeouts in the inning. He gets Duda with a breaking ball. A hit and 1 left. We go to the second. 1-0 Chicago. Those young men are getting ready for the Foreigner concert after the game.
That's the beginning of Father's Day weekend.
It's a weekend now.
And it's Flag Day today.
Happy Flag Day. Your tie is resplendent in flags.
I am dressed appropriately.
Anthony Rizzo leads off the second against Sean Markham and takes high. Rizzo, who after the Mets, when the Mets faced him in Chicago, had just signed a new 7-year contract and was swinging the bat very well, has really cooled down the last month.
Wow. Well, that's 21 games, Gary. That's serious. That's 3 weeks of living hell right there.
And for a guy they count on for home runs, no home runs in nearly a month. He pops this one up. Wind blowing it hard, and it'll make it easily into the stands.
That's working on a bad month right there.
Rizzo, just 23 years old, originally drafted by the Red Sox. As you look at Dioner Navarro on deck. Traded to San Diego for Alex Gonzalez. Traded to the Cubs for Andrew Kashner.
Look at that. Another big kid. 6'3", 240. Jeez.
Curveball from Markham, hit into shallow center. Long run in for Lagares, and he can't get there. It falls for a hit. So Rizzo with a bloop single to start the second.
Well, Rizzo will take it. Out in front on an off-speed pitch, got fooled, but little L wedge right there. Nicely placed.
3 feet from the cup.
Lafitte Penkai.
Lafitte Penkai.
Pen high.
Oh. Wow. What is that, like English in England?
Here's the veteran catcher, Dioner Navarro. The backup to Wellington Castillo. Veteran switch hitter. Takes outside. Navarro has 6 home runs this year. He had 3 of them in one game. It was against the White Sox a couple of weeks ago. Never been a big home run hitter. Never hit double digits in home runs in a season, and yet he had 3 in one game.
What do you have? 2 from the left side, 1 from the right side?
And Markham just misses with a fastball. 2-0. Navarro started out in the Yankee organization. He's now with his 5th different team. Luis Valbuena waits on deck. The Cubs are in a very similar mode to that of the Mets. They're struggling at the major league level right now. They're trying to identify which players are parts of their future. They've got some very good prospects in the minor leagues, although their minor leagues is flipped from what the Mets have. They've got a lot of position players, not much pitching. Dale Swaim now in his 2nd year as the Cubs skipper, and they suffered through a dreadful season last year. Lined into right field. Navarro has a base hit. Rizzo goes to second and pulls in there. So back-to-back singles for the Cubs to start the 2nd.
Trouble with off-speed pitches. When you're trying to get a left-hander out, a runner on first, they're more apt to pull that ball and set up a 1st and 3rd situation. Now, that didn't happen that time. Bird charged aggressively. But you got to be careful. You want to stay out of 1st and 3rd.
So now Luis Valbuena, the left-hand batting 3rd baseman, hitting just .235, but a .350 on base percentage because he draws a lot of walks. Rizzo and Navarro, not much speed on the base paths.
Valbuena is just basically platooned, only 13 at bats this year against left-handers.
They have Cody Ransom now, who's platooning with him at 3rd base. They were hoping that Ian Stewart would be their 3rd baseman, but he didn't hit in the big leagues, didn't hit in the minor leagues, and then got himself suspended the other day.
Yeah, he's got a tweeting problem, I've heard.
A lot of tweet problems.
Yeah, David's way off that line. Valbuena's not a home run hitter. He's a slap hitter. Just off the line that far just scares me as a pitcher. Takes away that fastball away.
Markham behind 2-0, and that misses ball 3. Markham, who was an almost uncanny strike thrower in his relief outing against the Marlins. He threw 105 pitches in those 8 innings, 84 strikes, just 21 balls, which is off the charts.
See where David's playing now. Of course, it's 3-0. It's a whole different experience here. He's going to be taking this pitch.
Now the bases are loaded. 4 straight balls to Valbuena, and Markham in a heap of trouble in the 2nd inning. His first walk, and Dan Warthen will pay a visit.
You know, this when you go out to talk to the pitchers, it depends on the age of the pitcher, how much experience he has. If you're going out there to a young guy, you might be trying to build up his confidence. Say, hey, listen, it's not that bad. This is what we can do. You know, Markham knows what he's got to do. He's got to get a ground ball and get a double play.
Correct.
Simple as that. He's not a strikeout guy. If he gets a strikeout, that's great. He's not. You can't go after the pop up because he can't pitch up in the zone. So he knows what he's got to do. I think you're just going out there to give him a break, let him know, what Barney likes, doesn't like, and he'll take care of the rest.
Darwin Barney struggling mightily at the plate over the last 20 games, hitting just .187. Rizzo at 3rd, Navarro at 2nd, and Valbuena at 1st with nobody out. Cubs already with a 1-0 lead on Nate Scherholt's home run in the 1st. And Barney takes a fastball for a strike. Barney hitting a paltry 146 with runners in scoring position. The pitcher, Edwin Jackson, not a bad hitter, waiting on deck. And Barney laces a base hit. Rizzo will come in to score. Everybody else moves up one base. Darwin Barney with just his 11th run batted in, and it's 2-0 Chicago. Third hit of the inning off Sean Markham.
Well, a bit surprised too. Another fastball or change? High change, looked like. Or was it a breaking ball, Ron?
I think it was a breaking ball, but
I don't. Hanger then.
You know, Markham's, operating procedure, standard operating procedure. He gets ahead and then he throws pitches off the strike zone. He missed with that one, obviously.
Well, he's been up in this inning, and it has cost him. So a run is in, bases loaded, still nobody out. Now Jackson, a 190 career hitter.
Oh, there's the contact right there. You can see full extension right down the pipe, belt high, a little above the belt. Nice pitch to hit.
Jackson slices one foul, and it's 0-2. Well, we just saw the Cardinals, who had the best average with runners in scoring position in the National League, and in fact in the major leagues. The Cubs have the worst, but they just got a base hit with a runner in scoring position, and now they have a chance for a whole lot more here in the second inning.
You're right, 227 as a team with runners in scoring position.
David DeJesus on deck, and Jackson takes strike three calls, so 3 pitches and Jackson sits down. That's the first out of the inning. Second strikeout for Sean Markham.
Edwin shaking his head, saying, why am I not swinging the bat? That was just a little cutter on the inside part of the plate.
Ooh.
So 1 out, base is still loaded for David DeJesus, who went down looking his first time up. Well, Markham went 8 innings against the Marlins last Saturday, allowed 5 hits. He's already allowed 4 hits in an inning plus tonight. What are the Mets doing with their infield? Valdespin was shortening up. Now he's backing up to double play depth. And DeJesus takes low for ball 1.
DeJesus has got pretty good speed, though, so you're going to have to be careful how deep you get.
1-0 count. He misses with the slider with the bases loaded. Is that pitcher in trouble is always a hitter's delight. Now you can really look for your pitch, and if a pitcher makes his pitch, you can take it. It's 1-1. Really aggressive on this pitch. Now it's even better. It's a changeup. He's missed with 2 off-speed pitches. The pitcher's got nowhere to go. Nowhere to go.
The problem, Keith and Gary, when you don't establish your fastball, it's very hard to get guys to chase your changeup when you haven't already let them know that there's a faster one coming before it.
If you can throw it 2-0, can you throw it? I mean 1-0, can you throw it 2-0?
He does. Throws the fastball, and DeJesus cracks one to deep right center. Lagares deep in the gap near the wall, and he can't catch it. Navarro is in. Valbuena right behind him. Barney will score as well. All the way to third goes DeJesus with a 3-run triple. And the Cubs have a 5-0 lead. David DeJesus back home in the metropolitan area, and he takes a big hack.
Well, 2-0 fastball, Ron. Inner half down, out of Lagares' reach. I thought it was out.
I'll tell you one thing, though. If Lagares comes up with that play, he would have had a double play easily. Runners were all around, all past the base they should have been.
Well, considering where Lagares was playing over in left center, it's remarkable he came as close to catching that ball as he did. Infield in now for Starlin Castro, with the Mets already down 5 runs, and takes a strike.
Well, watch the back runner here, most important, first base. Ball's hit deep. You can get, okay, that's wrong right there. That's just way too committed. You come to second base, and you can come around 3 feet on the other side of second base, ready to go back or forward, and you can still score. That was way too committed. And you're right, Ronnie. That would have been a double play if he makes the play.
It was Darwin Barney who found his way around second. Pop up into shallow right, and Valdespin back. And that's the second out. Back to third goes to Jesus.
Boy, oh boy, those are cheap RBIs right there. Not a good effort at all. Well, I should say, I'm sure he tried. Not a good at bat there. You just see so much of it today. Just got such an important run. All the runs are important, but when you get a cheapie at third base, less than 2 outs, you got to get that guy in.
So now the infield can back up with 2 out. Jesus still at third, and Nate Scherholtz the 8th man up in the inning. Scherholtz opened the scoring with a home run off Markham in the first inning.
I'd be a little inclined to be careful with Scherholtz.
Scherholtz breaks his bat and grounds one to Valdespin, and that'll do it for the inning. But it's a 4-run inning for the Cubs. Darwin Barney with an RBI single, and then David DeJesus unloads a bases clearing triple just beyond the reach of Juan Lagares, and the Cubs will take a 5-0 lead into the bottom of the second. Mr. Mets Dash, presented by Banana Boat. Kids 12 and under can run the bases after the game against the Cubs, and Mr. Met will be leading the way. Get Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for tickets. Marlon Byrd leads off the home second as the Mets try to start a long uphill climb against Edwin Jackson, who's now been staked to a 5-run lead. Byrd 6 home runs in his last 12 games, including one yesterday. And he takes up and away for ball 1. It'll be Byrd, then John Buck, and Omar Quintanilla for the Mets. Bird's slugging percentage is now at .503, which is the best on the ball club. Probably would not have wagered that when the year began.
I liked what you were talking about in the open, Keith. You know, it's like the musical chairs this winter for outfielders for the Mets, and when the music stopped, he had one of the outfield seats. And he has been a great surprise with what he's contributed, how much he's played. Defensively, he's been strong.
Oh, and he gets drilled by Jackson. And Marlin is aboard to start the second. So the former Cub Bird taking one in the hip.
I was mentioning to you before about the enigmatic career of Jackson. Here he has a 5-0 lead, leadoff hitter up, and he misses his target. What, 2 feet? 2.5 feet.
Third batter the Jacksons hit this year. Marlin must not be in a whole lot of pain.
The ball's crying though.
Now John Buck. John hit 10 home runs in his first 25 games this year. Last 29 games, 1 home run. And Jackson misses high for ball 1.
Well, John has been getting beat lately with fastballs. Been behind on the fastball, which now I think has made him worry about that, and thus has been starting to chase bad breaking balls.
Gets beat on that fastball, and it's 1-1. Edwin Jackson pitched for the Nationals last year. Had a middling season and a middling performance in his one postseason assignment for the Nats. Should be a double play. Barney with the flip to Castro. Jumps and makes the toss to easily get Buck for the 4-6-3 double play.
Slight shades of Ozzie Smith there from young Starlin Castro. Watch him here do a little pirouette. Little hang time. Elgin Baylor.
Connie Hawkins.
Well, he had to do that because of the hustle of Bird.
Yes. Well, Bird, I think, wanted to take somebody out after getting drilled.
I like that.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Omar Quintanilla. Quintanilla, who had been hitting first and second in the batting order, dropped to 7th tonight after going 0 for his last 11. And he takes a strike at the knees. Talking about Jackson and his performance in the postseason, it's a little unfair because it wasn't his fault. I mean, Steven Strasburg should have been in the rotation. Right. He wasn't. Jackson was the guy who took his spot. Lost game 3 of that series against the Cardinals, and the Nats wound up getting beat in 5.
Well, the season prior, he pitched for the Cardinals in regular season and postseason. He's had seasons where he's won 14 games with Tampa Bay, 13 games with the Tigers, an all-star.
One thing he is reliable. He'll take the ball 30 or more starts, 6 straight years. There are only 8 pitchers in baseball who've done that the last 6 years, make 30 or more starts every season. And there's something to be said for that. At least he's going to eat up some innings for you, win or lose. He's ahead on Quintanilla, 1-2. And Omar watches outside.
To tell you a little bit about his 500 career, his record's around 500. He's given up 74 home runs on the road, 73 at home. His record at home is 37-41, 35 and 33, 38 away, and his ERA home and away is 4.5.
$52 million worth. Navarro makes the toss to complete the strikeout. Third strikeout for Jackson, and the Mets are done in the second. A little fancy work in the middle of the double play by Starlin Castro. He knew how much time he had. He made the play easily. SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, featuring pitch-by-pitch coverage, player cards, and in-depth stats. Check out SNY Game Day during every Mets game, now on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Alfonso Soriano up for the second time, flying out to Wright in the first. Soriano now 37 years old, and not at the end, but nearing the end of the 8-year contract that the Cubs signed him to after he left Washington. He had that 40-40 season for the Nationals and got that absurd contract from the Cubs. A curler down to first base, and Murphy makes the play. Well, the National League Central, if you look at the top 3 teams, the best division in baseball, but the Brewers and Cubs have both struggled big time at the bottom.
Well, they've been the whipping boy for those 3 teams.
The Cardinals just can't seem to shake the Reds, and I picked the Reds to win that division when the season started. That's going to be a dogfight.
I'll tell you what'll be interesting coming down the stretch of the year is that Milwaukee doesn't have a good team because they can't pitch, but on a given day, when they get decent pitching, and Giovanni Gallardo's a legitimate ace who got off to a bad start this year, but he's starting to round into form. They face those leaders in September, they can win some games, and they can be a spoiler.
And then they're going to have to play Pittsburgh's and St. Louis and Cincinnati's are going to have to play each other. And that's not going to be that's going to be highly competitive.
Anthony Rizzo hit a pop fly single his first time up. Sean Markham absorbing punishment in the first 2 innings to the tune of 5 runs and 5 hits. Rizzo got that 4-run second started, and he grounds this one to Valdespin, who gives some ground and makes the play, 2 out. Well, the Cubs over the last 5 years have gone from the postseason in 2008 to just 61 wins and 101 losses last year. Only the 3rd time that the Cubs have ever lost 100 games, which is amazing considering their long and dark history.
Well, 2007 and 2008, they both made the playoffs and were swept both times.
Did you ever play for a 100-loss team?
No.
Neither did I. Thank goodness.
Here's Dioner Navarro. Well, let's see. Your last year with the Mets was 89. Your last was 91.
91.
93, they lost 103 games.
That's why we got out of Dodge.
After you deserted us.
The worst year I played was Red Shandy's last year, 76. The bicentennial year. And I think we lost 93, 4 games that year. We were horrible. Red got fired. And entree Vern Rapp, Sergeant Carter, we used to call him.
Dioner Navarro takes a curveball for a strike. So who was Gomer?
Yeah, who's the Jim Neighbors on the team?
One-two from Markham, and Navarro floats one out into center. Lagares eases over, and that retires the side. So Markham bounces back with a 1-2-3 inning. Cubs up 5-0 in the 3rd. Keith refers to as Father's Day weekend.
I didn't know. I am only given a day at my house. I don't know about
apparently, it's a festival, but you and I didn't know about it.
You got to milk it.
Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt, whose report will help you enjoy tonight's game better. I certainly believe that. Brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Kevin?
Well, I actually have a Father's Day parade for myself in Central Jersey. If you guys want to come, it's quite
nice.
the event. You know, guys, we look at Juan Lagares striding to the plate right now and getting a chance to prove himself up here. And everyone has a different path to the major leagues, and Lagares certainly just like that. A little different than everybody. He grew up in a town called Constanza in the Dominican Republic. It's a smaller town, not too far from Pedro de Macorís. And he said, you know, I didn't really get into playing baseball until I was a teenager. Now, certainly when I was a kid after school, I'd go and watch friends, family play. It was big. And when I started playing, you know, it was basically whatever you can use. And you've heard that before from a lot of the guys from the Dominican. He said we had one woodworker in our town. So you get a piece of wood, and he would kind of shape it into the form of a bat. And sometimes the handle was bigger than the barrel. Sometimes, you know, you never really knew what shape it was going to be, but you used it. I said, what happens if that one bat broke? He said, well, you hoped it didn't break. That's kind of how it went down there. Interestingly enough, when he was 15 years old, he started playing softball. Softball, he said, was very, very big. This was different, though. This was like a legitimate league where they actually had uniforms and pretty good equipment here. He said, you know, it was kind of like you play the other towns. He compared it to playing Manhattan versus Queens, is how he put it to me. And he said, I played on a team with a lot of the older guys. Well, at one point, there was an older gentleman who introduced me to a friend of his who ran a Dominican baseball academy, kind of an independent Dominican baseball academy. He went there and played for about 7 months baseball and kind of really learned the intricacies of the sport. He said there were a bunch of teams that came down and looked at me. Finally, though, the Mets did and signed him just after he turned 17 years old. Here he is now with a shot to center, Gary.
DeJesus back to the warning track. Can't reach it. Lagares racing around second. He'll easily make it to third. DeJesus is shaken up, and Lagares stands at third base with a triple. And DeJesus is really hurt. He hit that wall very, very hard. That's painful just to watch.
Yeah, they're trying to keep him still.
Well, DeJesus never gave up on this ball, and this is the way he's always played.
Hit his
smashing
shoulder.
that right shoulder into the fence.
Oh, then he hit his head when he came back.
He's reaching for his shoulder. It might have separated his shoulder. We won't speculate. Oh, wow, he hit it hard. That's for sure.
I mean, it was a direct shot. Reminds you a little bit of Mike Baxter hitting the wall in the Santana no-hitter last year, but this one was even harder.
Crumpled to the ground.
He reaches for that right shoulder.
Well, they've got the medical staff out there. I would be surprised if they're not going to get the stretcher out there.
Yeah.
The EMS guys on the scene helping out the Cubs trainers.
Well, they got him up sitting.
David DeJesus, a local guy, and fairly certain he would have family and friends in the ballpark here. Grew up in Jersey, went to Rutgers, and always special for David when he comes back to New York. And the Met trainer Ray Ramirez going out to see if he can be of any help. And wow, it's awfully nice to see him up on his feet and be able to walk himself off, but clearly still in quite a bit of discomfort.
That's a tough kid to get up and walk off. Wow.
It's a Jersey kid.
Wow. You can see his right shoulder just limp, you know. We saw that with Mike Baxter last year when he was walking off the field. Left arm moving, right arm immobile. I mean, just think about it at home, folks. Running as hard as you can into a wall. That's really what it was.
And with no time to prepare. reaching for that ball, hoping to make a play, and then only a split second later, the wall is there.
And he got a glove on it.
Remember, you're always taught when you're going into the wall like that, if you're not going to catch it, you tuck the glove hand in, because you know, remember Ken Griffey when he broke his hand when it went up against the wall like that? You want to try to tuck that in, but the shoulder took all the impact. Mets fans giving DeJesus a good hand. Like to see that.
And David able to flash a smile as he comes off the field, which is, boy, I'll tell you what, when he first hit that wall and was lying there in excruciating pain, you would have given money for this, for him to be able to walk off and be able to smile as he heads down the tunnel. So DeJesus injured, chasing Lagares' triple. Ryan Sweeney will replace DeJesus in center field. Meanwhile, Edwin Jackson has had to wait around now and get himself loose again. He'll throw some warm-up pitches before he faces Sean Markham.
I think it says something about, because we didn't address it, Mr. Lagares, about not playing. New and Heist coming up, playing for 3 days in a row, having to sit after he'd had 2 fine ball games, and comes out in his first at bat, hits a triple.
Likes the Cubs too. He hit that home run in Chicago.
That's right.
His only home run, and now his only triple have come against the Cubs. The Cubs are bringing the infield in. They've got a 5-run lead.
It's hard to believe.
I can't believe this is happening right now. Markham pops it up, so it's going to work out for the Cubs as Castro settles under it.
It's not going to work out for the Cubs. They're going to get away with it.
I don't think I've ever seen that in all the years I've watched baseball. I don't care if it's the pitcher up or anybody else. It's a 5-0 game, and you bring the infield in. You're begging the Mets to have a big inning.
Yes. And now you're going to push it back. No comprende.
I mean, when Don Zimmer managed the Cubs, I once saw him run a hit and run play with the bases loaded, which I thought was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen.
I was there.
He did it all the time. And then he got in the playoffs.
Vance Law was the runner.
He did it all the time that year, and then he did it in the playoffs, and they missed the ball, and it cost him a big inning. I forget what playoff game it was, and it wasn't '84 because did they get back with Zimmer as a skipper?
That was '89.
That was '89, right?
'84.
Jimmy Fry.
Yeah, Jimmy Fry. So now the infield back up the middle, in at the corners for Valdespin, who struck out his first time up.
And I agree, Ronnie. I thought that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen the bases loaded, putting a hit and run on.
I swear Vance Law was the runner at third, but now that I think about it, Vance Law might have been the hitter.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Gotta start doing some brain exercises here.
Valdespin bloops one, and Castro goes back to get it, and Lagares is still at third with 2 out.
Wow.
Well, if the infield had been in that time, it would have been a hit.
I mean, I have to think someone on the bench was asleep at the wheel. I mean, I don't know how that could have happened.
No,
I think they did it on purpose.
I think they did it on purpose. No one can fall asleep.
But, I mean, it was inconceivable.
It's just 5 coaches on the bench. It can't happen.
After an injury? No one's paying attention? I don't know.
Hey, get the injured back in the clubhouse.
Yeah, time to play again.
Ice on the shoulder. Let's go. Back in the trenches.
You have such a gladiator mentality.
So after the leadoff triple, Lagares still at third with 2 out, and it's left to Daniel Murphy, who popped to short his first time up. Sometimes you think after a long delay it might be the pitcher who's affected. Maybe it was the Mets who were affected. 2 straight pop-ups with a runner at third.
Well, Murph has been deadly with 2 outs, runners in scoring position.
Hit sharply, and there's the base hit to bring in the first Met run. Another 2-out run scoring hit for Murphy. Right on cue, Mr. Hernandez.
I got lucky there. But seen enough of Murph to know that he is a clutch hitter. And to be exact, now Murph is 11 for 22, 500 with runners in scoring position with 2 outs. That is outstanding.
Well, I was talking with Dave Hudgens today, and he said this is exactly what this team needs. They need a better runners in scoring position approach. He was raving about the Cardinals and what they did with runners in scoring position, hitting the ball to right field, hitting the ball up the middle. And he said, we've got too many guys right now who just are not in that mode when they get runners in scoring position. Well, Murph is the exemplar, and the Mets get on the board.
It would have been horribly frustrating if Murph had ended the inning and the Mets had not scored. The way they've struggled here at home offensively, it would have been more salt on the wound here.
Wright had a base hit to right field his first time up. Well, the Mets have gotten to Edwin Jackson before, so for a team that is struggling to score, 5-0 seems like an enormous burden, but this is a guy they've had some success against.
And it goes back to what you said before. They used 6 pitchers yesterday to pitch 8 innings, albeit they struck out 13. But still, you really feel like you're going to get some tired arms if you can get Jackson out of the game.
And now he's behind on Wright 2-0 with Duda on deck. And David lays off that fastball. And now it's 3-0. Jackson got a 5-0 lead. He started the last inning by hitting Marlon Byrd with a pitch. Started this inning giving up the triple to Lagares. Now he's surrendered a run, and he's 3-0 on Wright. And there's a strike, 3-1.
Here's a 3-1 count here. The Mets need a long ball here. Just look middle in for David. Something to pull, hit out. And if you don't get it, take it and go 3-2.
David homered night before last against Shelby Miller of the Cardinals over the center field fence. And that's outside ball 4, and there are 2 men on for Duda. First walk given up by Jackson, who averages about 3.5 walks per 9 innings.
Well, the Mets could use a blast here.
Duda struck out on a breaking ball his last time up.
They didn't get it against Wainwright in yesterday's ball game with Duda making an attempt.
I think the ball might carry a little better tonight.
Yeah.
Because the ball that he blasted to right center to the 390 mark yesterday, off the bat, thought it was a 3-run homer.
The 390 is a poke, though, Gare. I thought he got under it enough. The ball was up in the strike zone, but 390 is a long way.
So 2 out and 2 on for Duda. And Lucas takes a high strike. The runners in scoring position situations have bedeviled Duda all year. He's hitting 136 with runners in scoring position. Into Navarro's midsection, and he's able to knock it down.
I don't know how he blocked that one.
That's the only time you don't go down on your knees. He threw it so short that he stood up and it still hit him in the chest.
Boy.
Or the knee, at least.
So got some glove on it, I think.
Jeez, that is bowling there.
That's part of the erratic nature of Edwin Jackson and what makes him so hard to figure out. One and one to Duda with 2 men on. And Lucas bounces one foul. 1 and 2.
When we're looking at those stats of Lucas with runners on with his home runs and runners not on base, was solo 10 out of 11. It's almost the opposite of what got Ike back into his season last year, right? Ike would hit routinely, it seemed, hit a 3-run home run when he hit one to get those RBI stats up.
It saved his first half.
Yep.
Now Jackson ahead 1 and 2. And that just missed. 2 and 2.
He missed the play, missed the pitch there, Gary Cederstrom. Maybe not a strike to everyone, but a 6'4" hitter. Good pitch.
That's a big pitch for a pitcher right there, getting out of this inning. You want that one, don't you?
You want it more to be a ball if you're Lucas back in the at bat.
2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Duda. And Lucas stays alive. Murphy at second, Wright at first. And Duda lays off. Full count.
Well, if you're betting on a pitch here, Keith, what do you think? 75%, 80% he's going to throw a slider?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's his bread and butter and his out pitch.
But you got a problem here. You got a very hot batter in the on-deck circle, even though it's a righty against a righty. The hottest bat in Marlon Byrd in the on-deck circle. Duda has struggled with men on base.
Murphy and Wright get set to run. 3-2 with 2 down. And Duda goes down swinging on the slider again. So Jackson fans Duda to get himself through the inning with only 1 run scoring. 4th strikeout for Edwin Jackson. We go to the 4th at Citi. What he hopes will be his final minor league start ever. We know it's going to be his last for the moment because he is being called up and will start for the Mets Tuesday night against the Braves in Atlanta. And Wheeler finished very strong. He gave up only 1 hit in that last start for Las Vegas.
You got the loss though, because they lost 11-0.
But he only gave up
1 run. Yeah. Did you hear the fan? We must have had some of our SNY audio there. Did you hear the fan behind the plate screaming to the batters, grab some pine? That was fantastic.
You sure that wasn't me?
No.
Luis Valbuena leading off the 4th inning. Well, those are the numbers for Wheeler for his AAA season. Last night, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 1 hit in 5 2/3 to get that ERA under 4. And I think Zach would be the first to tell you that he didn't dominate in AAA the way he might have liked to. But the Mets, in their wisdom, believe that he's ready to compete at the big league level, and he'll be joining the Mets in Atlanta, close to his home. Markham's 1-2, and the curveball misses to Valdespin at 2-2. Darwin Barney on deck, then Edwin Jackson. Markham gave up 4 runs in the second, then bounced back with a 1-2-3 third. And Valbuena lifts one to left. Back a few strides is Duda. 1 away. After his start last night, Zack Wheeler talked about his progress in AAA and whether he's ready for the big leagues.
I feel like I'm ready, yeah. But I don't feel like I've accomplished what I've set out to do. I've wanted to cut down on my balls, I guess you could say, and obviously throw more strikes with my pitches. But I still feel comfortable where I'm at right now.
Well, there's never been a guy who said, you know what, I don't think I'm ready. So I'll give you a call when I think I'm ready, and then I'll come up. That never happened. Secondly, he's right. He wanted to be more consistent in the strike zone. Whether it's the Pacific Coast League that sometimes can give you some trouble, who knows? But you know what? There's always a balance.
Barney hits it out to left center, and Lagares over to get it.
And the balance is making sure that when you bring up a player, you'll never have to send him down again. And the team's needs, what you need on the major league level to try to compete at the highest level.
And there is a financial consideration, too. The Mets might have called him up earlier had it not been for the Super 2 status they were trying to avoid. But I guess the most recent experience the Mets have had in calling up a stud pitcher from AAA was calling up Matt Harvey, and there was some question whether Matt was ready, and it turned out he was more than ready.
Well, what was pretty interesting is that his numbers in AAA were, very similar to what Zack has done in the first couple of months, 2 months plus. The difference is that Wally Backman said Harvey was asking him every day, am I going up this day? Am I going up after my next start? Wheeler just the opposite.
3 fly ball outs in the inning for Markham. He's now retired 8 in a row. That's still down by 4 as they come up in the bottom of the 4th. About being a leader on a young secondary and playing for Rex again. Plus, get a complete breakdown of minicamp on Jets Nation. New episode Sunday at 7, only on SNY. Well, just minutes ago, Zack Wheeler tweeted thanking everybody for their support. Just found out officially that he was going to the big leagues and sending out his thanks. Now, join the Mets in Atlanta on Monday.
Well, I would think that he would get his work in tomorrow, maybe with the team, and then fly out and be able to spend a day with his family in Atlanta or outside of Atlanta.
It used to be that if you were not going to be called up till Tuesday, you could not actually come into the clubhouse. Now they have the taxi squad rule, so you can come in a day early, which makes a whole lot more sense.
I can tell you from my experience, my first big league game, I was called up and then I played in front of the hometown in Candlestick Park, in front of my mom and dad and my brother and all my family, and it adds a little more tension to as opposed if you opened up in Cincinnati or Tino.
Well, you got to get tickets, right? I mean, that becomes a whole issue.
That was the least of it.
We had Juan Valdez was in the audience. That was tough.
Alexa Gente. Marlon Byrd leads off in the home fourth inning. Marlon was hit in the hip by a pitch by Edwin Jackson his first time up. Jackson 52 pitches through 3 innings, more than he would like on a night when he's going to be asked to go deep into the game after the Cubs spent so much on their bullpen yesterday in a 14-inning win. John Buck, Omar Quintanilla to follow for the Mets, who have a run on 3 hits off Jackson, and Byrd pops one up. Navarro coming back and can't see it, and it lands in the crowd, but he had no idea where that ball was.
Help.
I like he covers his head here. Once he realizes it.
And you know what his teammates will say? What are you doing? You can't hurt that head.
Stay safe.
I've seen hear no evil, speak no evil. What one was that one?
Have no evil befall your head.
Yes.
One and one to Marlon Byrd. And he bounces one slowly. Tough play for Valbuena. The running throw, not in time. Infield hit for Marlon Byrd.
Well, Keith, you sung his praises. He's on base twice again.
Oh, Valbuena charges hard. And you can smell that hit. Watch him bust out of the box. He can still run, Marlon.
And he's run hard every single time this season. He has been given a gift, Marlon Byrd, and he understands that better than anybody. His career could have been over after what happened to him last year. Released twice, suspended for 50 games. And he has taken this opportunity, and he has really run with it. And I mean that both figuratively and literally. Here's John Buck, who grounded into a double play his first time up. And in Marlon's case also, having been released by the Cubs last year, it certainly adds to the tenor of this series for him.
Well, I heard, 2 weeks ago, Terry Collins was talking about starting Rick Ankiel against St. Louis and Atlanta because, the revenge kind of factor. When you get some of these players, you'd have to start them against every team. They've moved around so much.
Buck drives one to deep right center field. Back goes Shearholtz to the warning track. He'll have room and makes the catch.
And back to first goes Byrd. Well, Buck, who has shown us his opposite field power before, making a deep bid to right center, but Shearholtz runs it down.
Well, Shearholtz, unlike his counterpart, De Jesus, who had to lead the game, had plenty of time to get and negotiate the wall here. With a little more air time on this ball. Just got under it enough. It's a big ballpark.
I think John thought he had it. From his reaction, he came around first base and he was standing there stunned. He thought for sure he had gotten it.
Not the first here in Citi Field.
1 out and 1 on now. Omar Quintanilla, who struck out his first time up. Quintanilla now hitless in his last 12 at bats. That's getting some good swings against Edwin Jackson.
See, these are the things that betray Edwin Jackson. He's in a 5-1 game. Marlon Byrd is not going anywhere. Not going to try to steal a base. He doesn't even try to steal a base when the games are close. So no need to throw over there. Concentrate on the hitter.
Greg Burke up in the Mets bullpen with the pitcher's spot 2 batters away. way, we noted Zack Wheeler being called up Tuesday, and in a corresponding move, the Mets brought Rafael Montero from Double-A, and he'll start Sunday for Las Vegas, his first Triple-A start. So that's a big move for Montero, who also figures prominently in the Mets' future plans.
He earned it, didn't he?
He was spectacular in Double-A this year.
Worthy of the promotion.
And also, just in the recent days, the strikeout throwing lefty Jack Leathersich was promoted to Triple-A, and he made his Triple-A debut last night. So the kids are starting to come a little faster. Sometimes those promotions can wait till the All-Star break, but the way things are going here, we might see both of those guys by the end of the season. Here's the 2-0, taken outside ball 3. Well, those are the top 8 Mets prospect coming into the season, according to MLB.com. Darno, of course, is still hurt. Syndergaard's down in Single-A, so is Nimmo. Familia out for the year. Cecchini is about to start his career. That'll be probably for the Gulf Coast League team or for Brooklyn. Wilmer Flores in Triple-A, and he's the closest position player to being ready.
He's got close to 40 RBIs, doesn't he?
Question with Wilmer is going to be, where do you play him? I mean, started out as a shortstop. They used him at third. This year he's been playing second. He's a big kid. I don't know where he's going to end up positionally. 3-1 to Quintanilla, and that's ball 4. And so Jackson putting himself in a hole again, his second walk. And the Mets have 2 men on.
You know, when you draft or sign, in the case of Wilmer Flores, kids when they're so young, Gary, you know, he comes up as a shortstop, and the next thing you know, really, his body changes in such a way that it takes him out of that position.
Which is a shame, because the Mets really don't have a shortstop prospect right now in their system, except for Cecchini, who they drafted in the first round last year. And
he's out of high school, right?
Yeah, he's just a baby. So that's a position where they could probably use a prospect with Ruben Tejada's status maybe having dimmed a little bit this year.
He's a Cal Ripken kind of guy.
Here's Lagares, who hit a long triple to right center. The play on which David DeJesus got hurt in the 3rd inning. His first major league triple, and he takes a slider for a strike. For the moment, Sean Markham is out on deck. What transpires here might decide whether he gets to bat. Mets have action going in their bullpen in case Terry Collins wants to go to a pinch hitter. And Lagares hits out to left center field. That's pretty deep. Back goes Soriano deep in the gap with Sweeney, and Sweeney makes the catch. Now 2 warning track fly balls. Bucks caught in right by Shearholtz, and now Lagares denied by Sweeney. 2 out.
Just got him out in front enough and made Lagares reach for. He let go with one hand. And really, this is just a fly ball. Warning track fly ball.
It's the best part about this play, though, is Sweeney took charge. You've seen a lot of times that Soriano, he wants to catch that ball, very rarely does. So he took charge and made the play.
Well, you want your center fielder to make the play. Not, you don't want Soriano anywhere near the ball if you can help it.
And so Markham's going to bat for himself here with 2 out and 2 on. Markham popped up his first time up. He swung the bat pretty well this year. One thing Sean does, he makes contact. He's had 16 at bats this year, only 3 strikeouts, which is terrific for a pitcher.
Had to be a hard call, though. Really had to be a hard call. I think factor in the Mets and their schedule the next week or so.
And also the fact that Markham seems to have kicked it in gear after that very tough second. And he hits a shallow fly ball to left. Soriano circling in, and that retires the side. So the Mets get a couple aboard, but leave them stranded through 4. It's 5-1 Cubs. Against Scott Feldman, who pitched a gem and hit a gem against the Mets in Chicago. Jeremy Hefner Sunday against Matt Garza, who is now healthy but being talked about as trade bait.
And Feldman was the one that gave up the home run to Lagares, correct? He had the ball game, was ahead in that.
I think Travis Wood gave up that home run, didn't he?
Oh, was Travis Wood? Yeah. That's right.
Because he was pitching a good ball game.
Right.
Travis. Feldman is a guy that has an unbelievable slider, and he had some really serviceable years for Texas after pitching in Japan a couple of years.
Well, he's been hurt, and now he's back healthy, and certainly has helped out the Cubs. Well, Markham's retired 8 in a row. What do you think about Markham hitting for himself in that last half inning?
You know, my feeling is that the Mets are just struggling so bad with the bats. Anytime you get a chance to put a hitter in there, I would have done it. I know that's wouldn't make Sean Markham feel very good. The only way Markham hits in that inning for me is if Lagares, that ball would have fallen in for a double, 2 runs to score, it would have been 5-3. I would have let Markham stay in the game because now you're close. And you're 4 runs down, and your ball club has been struggling to score 3 runs a game.
I would have been inclined, because the way they've been struggling at home, to score runs, to go to the bullpen and put a bat up there.
Ryan Sweeney up for the first time, replaced the injured David DeJesus, who had a 3-run triple and then got hurt chasing a triple. Sweeney had a big game against the Mets at Wrigley. He had a home run, should have had a triple as well, but got called out at third when he wasn't out.
Saw that.
Sweeney has been around the block, played very well for Oakland for a couple of years. Markham behind him 3-1 with Castro on deck, and he flies one out to shallow right center, and Lagares takes charge, 1 away. That's 9 in a row retired by Markham, in the last 5 all on fly balls to the outfield.
Well, that's why this was hasn't been yet, but this is supposed to be a perfect fit for Markham because it's a big ballpark, unlike the ballpark he just pitched in when he was with Milwaukee. Fly balls go to die here usually. Oh.
Starlin Castro 0 for 2 tonight, and he takes the cutter off the plate. Well, since Castro came into the league, he has more hits than any other player in the National League. And Ryan Braun's going to be stuck there for a while. Looks like he's heading to the disabled list with a thumb injury. Fly ball, pretty deep center field. Lagares racing back, and he gets there to make the catch. I'll tell you what, he's a good center fielder. He was playing very shallow, was able to take his eye off the ball, race back, find it, and make that play look easy.
I would like to see him play a little more. Give him a little chance to play every day like Valdespin. I mean, it's a long way. He's played very shallow. Backpedaling here at the last moment, had it all the way.
It's not very easy to be running full bore and then kind of turn to the side and then backpedal like a defensive back to make that play.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Nate Scherholtz, who opened the scoring tonight with his 9th home run of the year. The 9 home runs matching a career high for Scherholtz, and it's only June 14th. So Wrigley Field is agreeing with him. Citi Field agreed with him in the first inning when he hit one up at the Pepsi porch.
Got a fastball. Attacked early in the count.
Nice catch, by the way, by the fan who was sitting in our seats.
Yeah, that's right. Who really would have had a shot there.
Been right in our laps.
That would have been Keith's side. Oh, good play by David Bell over there. Should be a pretty easy play for him to make, considering he manned that hot corner for years. There he is.
One of the rare 3rd-generation major leaguers, David Bell. Of course, his grandfather, Gus, was an original Met who was in the opening day lineup for the Mets in 1962 in their very first game.
His dad, Buddy, was quite a player.
Cubs also have another 3rd-generation major leaguer in the dugout, the former Met Scott Hairston.
Oh, that's right.
2-2 to Scherholz and a check swing foul. I guess all the Cubs need is a boon.
Right.
And of all the three-generation families represented. They do have Casey Coleman in their system.
That's right. His dad, Joe Coleman?
And his grandfather, Joe Coleman.
Right.
So I think there are only 4 families that have ever had 3 generations of the major leagues, and the Cubs have representatives of 3 of those 4 families. Of course, Scott Hairston's dad was Jerry Hairston Sr., and his grandfather, Sam Hairston, who had a brief major league career after playing in the Negro Leagues. 7th pitch to Scherholz is low and inside, and a full count. Here's Scott, who's had a lot of struggles since coming to the Cubs as a free agent.
Markham looks like he's going to throw the ball into the Cubs dugout from that side saddle windup.
And he strikes out Scherholz with the changeup. 3rd strikeout of the night for Markham. He's now retired 11 in a row, so he has hit his groove. Now the Mets need to get him some offense. Top of the batting order coming up in the bottom of the 5th.
Will lead things off for the Mets. This is a big week for Valdespin. As Terry Collins said before the week started, that hey, this is really an audition for Valdespin, playing at his natural position, getting a chance to play against all these right-handed starters, and really seeing what he can do playing in days back to back to back to back, which he hasn't had the chance to do too much. And of course, things have been pretty quiet on the Valdespin's front in the clubhouse in terms of his actions. And last time we heard about that was, of course, the Pittsburgh bat flipping incident. I talked to Valdespin today, and I asked if anything has come of that. Has he learned from it? I've noticed from a media standpoint that he's certainly gotten a little bit quieter in the clubhouse. I don't think there's been as much attention drawn to him in there. And he said, look, I don't want any more negatives towards me. I'm trying to become a better teammate. I'm going up and asking guys things. I've gone up to David Wright. I've gone up to Daniel Murphy and asked them about situations, about hitting, pick their brains. I'm trying. And so I went around the room and tried to get confirmation of that, and just to see if there is progress in this event. I mean, look, Valdespin's 25 years old. Some of the things that he does, like stealing third base like he did the other day, is that going to change at this point? I don't know. But the talent is there, and if there's a chance, he's got to learn the intricacies of baseball and being a good teammate. Well, the bottom line is, the feeling is that he is indeed trying. John Buck told me the one thing that I've noticed that has been clearly different since that incident, and he said this is coming from a guy who talked to him after the bat flip and talked to him again after he got hit by a pitch. He is asking a lot of questions. He's trying to understand things. He's come to me a lot, you know, whether it's behind the cage or in the clubhouse, asking about things, why to do this, why not to do this. I think the feeling in that room, guys, is he's clearly trying. He's got a long way to go. Maybe being more receptive is something he's getting better at, too, when people tell him, give him some criticisms. So we'll see if that keeps evolving.
Well, you know, it's a tough road if you want to go it alone, you know, and it's a team sport. There's 25 players, and I just don't know what it would be like not to not be able to get along with your teammates. And so, you know, it's a slow process for him. He's got a lot of flair and a little flamboyant. So he's getting an opportunity. This is the most important thing right now. We're talking about on the field. And we'll see what he can do with it. He's been struggling, and he's kind of been given a short leash too, which I think, you know, putting a week limit on it. The next 6 games, Terry said he's going to be in the lineup, and we'll see. You know, I just think that's not enough time. Maybe a little more rope, and let him go for a month.
Let me ask you this from the standpoint of being the teammate of somebody who is, you know, maybe not the guy who fits in the easiest. Does his performance affect how you look at him in the clubhouse? In other words, and I'm not talking even specifically about Valdespin as he strikes out for the first out of the inning. If a player who is not necessarily the most engaging with his teammates is a star, is he looked at differently than if he's just a bit player?
Well, you can probably say put Reggie Jackson in that category. I mean, he wasn't horribly liked by a lot of people in that Yankee clubhouse. You know, if someone's extremely talented and produces, you're going to put up with a lot. There's no question about it. I mean, Greg Jeffries comes to mind.
You give me the choice of a great teammate or a guy who can play, I'd take the guy who can play.
Correct.
We'll figure it out. The other one, we'll figure the dance out during the course of 6 months.
That's right. You don't have to go out with them. Just come to the ball. Only time you come to the ballpark that you in the workplace, that's when you deal with them.
Is there a better example than Barry Bonds? I mean, his teammates despised him, but he made them a lot of money. Murphy grounds out for the second out.
Well, I think there's, you know, Barry's a little different personality in the sense that he had been he's one of those guys that was just all about, you know, his own deal, you know, his own game, and probably thought about the trivialities of being in a clubhouse as something that was just silly, because he probably was in a clubhouse since he was 5-6 years old. So he's always been there. And when you're a little kid and you're in a clubhouse, you hear a lot of stuff you shouldn't hear. You see a lot of stuff you shouldn't see. And, you know, he probably just considered the workplace something that was a place he'd go when he was a child.
And let's not forget, too, that Barry Bonds was on the field as a kid, getting a special privilege. So maybe a sense of entitlement was.
Well, but then he also had a teammate in San Francisco in Jeff Kent who didn't get along with a lot of people. They didn't get along with each other, but they seemed to play well together.
They won, too, didn't they? Yes. So if they hadn't won, that thing might have been Mount Vesuvius.
There was I can tell you, I got along with the 17 years that I played. I got along with around 99%, 98% of the guys I played with. I can count on one hand the guys I can't say I hated, I disliked a lot. It didn't affect when you put the uniform on. You didn't go out and have a drink with them.
And David Lowbridge's the pitcher, and he's on base for the third straight time.
So I'm sure the folks out there, the Met fans that are watching, they go to work. It's no different. I'm sure in the workplace, they got guys that are, you know, people that maybe they dislike. You deal with it.
Well, it's different working in a workplace where you go home after a 9-to-5 job as opposed to a team that's together for 8 months.
Well, there's a whole dynamic because, you know, you can shut people out. You know, when you're on the road, there'll be a half dozen guys that'll want to go to dinner. And if you're the person that's going to be left out of it, that makes for a long summer.
Duda thinking about laying down a bunt with that shift on.
Not with 2 outs, Lucas. Lucas, swing the bat.
Duda struck out in each of his first 2 at bats against Jackson. 1-1 to Duda.
High rider here from Jackson, just beats Lucas.
And you see him drop that back shoulder, and the bat will always follow the angle of your shoulders. So if you tilt your shoulders, your bat's going to be tilted, and it's going to be vulnerable upstairs.
So are you telling me the leveler your shoulders are, the more level your shoulders are, the more level your swing is going to be?
Correct.
Okay.
If your shoulders are parallel to the ground when you swing at a high pitch, you're going to have a level cut on it.
So is that just a habit he needs to break, or is that an essential part of his swing?
That's a habit that I had when I was a youngster in St. Louis coming up, and I was seeing too many pitches I swung under, and I worked on it to change it. And what I did, and I said it before in the broadcast in the past, is that Ted Williams' book, The Science of Hitting, he said that he hung a spare tire over a tree and let her high level, and he chopped wood on it. So he can get his shoulders to square up and stay level on the high pitch. And that's what I did. And that's how I broke it.
2-2 to Duda.
You got to listen to those Hall of Famers.
Yeah. That
certainly makes sense.
Firestone or Pirelli?
Right at first and 2 out. Duda able to lay off that slider. 3-2.
Well, remember, he threw him a 2-2 slider last at bat with the men on base, and came back with a 3-2 slider in the dirt to strike him out.
I think it's going to be the opposite this time. Right? Let's fastball up and away, where he beat him earlier in the at bat.
If he's going to throw him a fastball, it's got to be inside corner too.
4th full count for Jackson tonight. 2nd against Duda, who struck out on a full count slider his last time. Wright gets set to run, and Duda holds up the swing, and he's on base with a walk. So he did go with a fastball up and away. 3rd walk given up by Jackson, and now 2 men on for the hottest Met hitter, Marlon Byrd. Marlon's been hit by a pitch and infield hit today. 6 home runs in his last 12 games, and a long ball here could change this game significantly.
Well, the Mets have had runners on base every inning and have only been able to cash in once.
1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. That only hit belongs to Daniel Murphy. Two on and 2 out for Byrd. And he takes a fastball strike.
Marlon will sit on that little spinning slider from Jackson.
We talked about Murphy's numbers with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Byrd has been terrific in these spots too. 31 RBIs this year. Just 4 behind David Wright. A couple of fastballs, and Jackson gets ahead 0-2.
Well, it's the fastest fastball he's thrown all night. Little cutter almost at 94 miles an hour.
Good spot.
John Buck would be next, but Jackson ahead in the count on Byrd. 0-2 with 2 out.
Well, Jackson shook off his catcher, so let's see what this pitch of preference is.
And Bird fouls off the fastball.
That's 95-mile-an-hour fastball right there. He reached back for something extra.
You know, it's interesting. I wonder if you can use it in the game plan straight away. Wainwright was able to exploit that outside corner with cutters against Bird yesterday. I wonder if they could get that information that quickly and try to use it today.
Wright at second, Duda at first with 2 out. Each team with 5 hits. The Cubs put up a 4 spot in the second, and the Mets have been fighting uphill. 0-2 from Jackson, and he strikes him out with a slider. So Edwin Jackson strands 2 more Mets. That's 7 tonight in the first 5 innings that the Mets have left aboard. 6 strikeouts for Edwin Jackson, and a 5-1 lead for the Cubs after 5. You buy your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. That still hurts every time I see it. David DeJesus leaving the game with an apparent shoulder injury. We've yet to get a medical report.
I don't think he's going to really appreciate our super slow-mo, by the way.
He's not going to have the flexibility of that bird flying right there, I guarantee you.
Alfonso Soriano leads off in the 6th inning against Sean Markham, who's now retired 11 in a row, and gets ahead of Soriano with a breaking ball. Soriano's flied out and grounded out tonight, 0 for 2. Anthony Rizzo to follow, then Dioner Navarro. Cubs got a run in the first on the Nate Scherholtz home run, 4 in the second, 3 of them on a bases clearing triple by DeJesus before he got injured. And Markham staying with the soft stuff against Soriano, who was just 2 for 13 against him. See how Markham's night has gone. Should have plenty left in the tank. Remember, he threw 105 pitches, but he's also had 5 days rest since that relief outing against the Marlins last Saturday. The 8 innings that Markham threw in relief were the most for any major league reliever since 1989, when Scott Sanderson had an 8-inning relief stint for the Cubs. The last Met to go as many as 8 innings in relief, you got to go back to that 25-inning game against the Cardinals in 1974, when Jerry Cram threw 8 innings in relief.
And in that same Wago, strike 3 called inside, Claude Osteen came on in relief and threw 9 innings of shutout ball, 3-hit shutout ball. Wow.
But that little cutter he throws inside, starts inside, comes over the inside corner. Good pitch.
4 strikeouts for Markham. He's now set down 12 in a row. Now Anthony Rizzo, who has a pop fly single, And he's grounded out 1 for 2. And he drives one to the gap in right center. That'll go all the way back to the wall. Rizzo pulling in at second base with his 19th double of the year. And that snaps the string of 12 in a row retired by Markham.
Hanging breaking ball. Out over the plate. By the way, that comedian yesterday you had on the broadcast that did the Murph imitation, was that yesterday's broadcast?
I believe it was.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Gary Valentine.
Yeah, that was. It was. I always think of Ed Lynch. I thought it was a great Murph.
Here's Diono Navarro, who's 1 for 2. Have you ever heard the public address announcer here at Citi Field, Alex Anthony, do his Murph imitation?
No.
It's probably one of the best I've ever heard.
Oh, really?
We should get him on at some point to do his Murph
Really?
imitation.
Alex can do that? Oh, great.
Double A, he's in here every day. You can definitely get him to do his Murph.
David Ardsma gets up in the Mets bullpen.
He should do a whole game on the PA was a Murph.
Now that would be fantastic.
That would be wonderful.
Luis Valbuena waiting on deck. Markham's given up 6 hits tonight. He's walked only 1 and struck out 4, but on the short end, and that means that Sean is in danger of going to 0-8 on the season. There's only one other Met in history who has begun his Mets career by losing his first 7 decisions, and you got to go all the way back to the first year of the Mets, 1962, when Bob Miller started his Mets career 0-12.
Oh, his Mets career, yeah, he started someplace else. Okay.
Bob Miller was a pretty good pitcher for the Dodgers.
Miller won in his final start in 1962 to finish 1-12. Fly ball center field, and Lagares barely asked to move, and Navarro retired 2 out. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple standing by for a game break presented by your Tri-Honda dealer. Chris Medlin on the short end in that game. Gregor Blanco hit a home run for the Giants.
Wow.
Of course, didn't Blanco play for the Braves?
He played for the Braves, exactly. When they were trying different left fielders, Blanco played there. Constanza played for a while.
Don't get me started on Constanza. Grounded foul. Well, he's the guy who took out Murphy.
That's right. That's right.
And
With a late slide.
Yeah.
I just was watching. It was just on the television, watching a little bit of a AAA game the other day, and he was playing for the Gwinnett team.
Who was the other guy? The guy who hurt Murph when he was in the minors, and it was a really dirty slide.
I don't remember.
It was in the Cleveland organization. Luis Valbuena with a runner at second and 2 out. And he hits a rocket to deep right center. Lagares isn't going to catch this one. It's headed toward the wall and off the base. Rizzo is in to score. Valbuena trades places with him. A 2-out RBI double. And it's 6-1 Chicago. 9th double, 19th RBI for Luis Valbuena.
Well, I tell you what, the Cubs have hit some balls in the deepest part of the ballpark. And there's waits nicely on a pitch down and away. And that's going to be it for Markham.
So Sean Markham had settled in nicely to retire 12 in a row after a rough beginning. Will exit after 5 2/3. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Fios. David Ardsma coming on to pitch for the Mets. We'll be right back. Indians won the World Series was 1908, the same year that the song "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" debuted.
Well, then it makes sense that in the 14-inning game yesterday, they sung it twice.
Of course. And if they played 21 innings, they'd sing it 3 times. David Arnsma makes his 3rd appearance for the Mets.
See the Caesars Atlantic City numbers for Arnsma. He's been pretty impressive. When he came up, I wanted to see if he had the velocity that he once had when he was with the Mariners, and he does. He's throwing the ball awfully hard.
I saw the game he pitched, and he's throwing hard.
He has gotten his velocity back now 2 years after Tommy John surgery. Strike called to Darwin Barney. 2009-2010, Arnsma was about as good a closer as there was in the American League with Seattle, but then the surgery and then a brief stint with the Yankees. He was in spring training with the Yankees. They let him go. The Marlins signed him. He had an opt-out in his contract, exercised that, and the Mets signed him, and he pitched a handful of games in the minors, and the Mets with a need called him up.
Fastball, split fingers is out pitch, sliders is 3rd pitch.
Edwin Jackson on deck. Valbuena with the RBI double to cash the 6th Chicago run. Barney's 1 for 2. He's driven in a run tonight. Fly ball center field, chasing Lagares back, and he'll get there easily. And that retires the side. So Arnsma comes in to retire Barney, but the Cubs add a run and lead 6-1 in the 6th. Nation heel a year later, but where are they now? See the unique places Turk Wendell, Todd Zeile, Robin Ventura, and Joe McEwing ended up on Mets Insider, presented by W.B. Mason, Sunday at 6, only on SNY. Edwin Jackson working with a 6-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. He was one of the notable free agent pitchers last offseason, presented by Time Warner Cable, and there hasn't been a lot of success for that group other than Francisco Liriano and, when he's been healthy, Zack Wheeler.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, when I've watched him so far, Loesch hasn't looked bad. He's going to write the record. Danny Herron has just not had enough velocity, and the home runs he gives up per game has just really befell him. Dempster, I think, has been looking all right. I think he'll turn it around. Blanton 1-10, hard to turn that around.
Looking at Greinke brings to mind the fact that earlier today Major League Baseball handed out the suspensions from that brawl between the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers the other night. And we had been talking about it in the aftermath of that Ian Kennedy was probably going to get a heftier suspension than is normally handed out to pitchers because of the fact that he twice went head high, first to Yasiel Puig and then to Greinke, and indeed Kennedy did get a 10-game suspension.
Good. It was the correct call.
I will never condone head hunting.
No.
Even if you're just trying to hit someone and you get up there in that neighborhood, I'm sorry. That's hefty fine, and twice. And that's why you had a big league brawl there. That was a big league brawl.
Well, that's why, I mean, the Dodgers were just furious, especially when he came up and in the second time and hit Greinke, who's already spent time on the disabled list because of a player charging the mound when Carlos Quentin came out and he broke his collarbone. As Buck strikes out on the high fastball. 7 strikeouts for Jackson.
Now, that being said, I do think if you're going to retaliate, I always wondered why in the National League you always hit their best hitter. I always just go, why not hit the pitcher?
Yeah.
If you I know what you don't want to give a free pass to an easy out. I go, but if it's a situation, hit the pitcher, and it never happens.
Oh, I've hit pitchers before, absolutely. And then you know that you're probably going to get one yourself, but that's all right too. The whole thing for the bigger question, and we talked about it a little the other day, is that how do you, as a pitcher, show your teammates that you're behind them 100%? You very rarely get a chance to do that. Most of the time you're on the bench and you're trying to have your eyes on stuff and maybe give them a little hint here and there, but it's really small. But that is the one time that your teammates can go, you know what? He's a gamer. And he went and got someone because they hit me. And it goes a long way in that clubhouse. And I bet you, Keith, the guys you played with that protected you, you'll remember forever.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And I remember one time in particular, I got undressed by Shane Rawley in Philadelphia, and it was in September. It was a big game. McDowell was pitching, and I went up to Roger after the inning, and I said, Roger, don't. Greg Gross was pinch hitting, leading off the inning. We had a 1-run lead. It was a very tight ball game and a very important game to win. And I went to the mound, and Lee Elia was the manager of the Phillies then, so whatever year that was. And I went to Roger. I says, don't retaliate. We got to win this game. What did Roger do? Drilled Gross first pitch.
That's Roger.
And Lee Elia was livid, thought I went to the mound
and
told him to hit him.
And you did the opposite.
And I said, Lee, I told him not to hit him. And I went to Greg. I said, Greg, I did not tell him to hit you. And Greg goes, well, I hope not. I said, Greg, trust me.
Josh Edgen up in the Mets bullpen. Two to Quintanilla, and this is low and inside.
Well, I tell you what, Edwin Jackson can get ahead in the count and go 3-2 with the best of them.
Can I ask a question on an entirely different subject? Sure. What would you call, and I'm not asking you, Ronnie, because you're colorblind, what is the color of Edwin Jackson's shoes? What exact shade of blue is that? Is that robin's egg? Is it Carolina blue?
That is San Diego Charger blue, sky blue.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call. Put a little gold with that. Lightning bolts.
Yes, instead of the swoosh.
Pulled down to first, and Rizzo handles it one-handed. Quintanilla retired 2 out, and Jackson, who has not had a 1-2-3 inning all night, now has a chance for one as he takes on Juan Lagares with 2 out.
See, if you had pressed me about the shoes, I would have said white.
Would you really? That's what you said?
Because part of it's white. That's the part I see. And it probably isn't. It looks like it might be darker white. Or
so, can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
What does the blue look like to you?
It depends. Like, see, I see things like, if I see something that looks like the sky, then I know it's blue. You know what I mean? That I associate colors with different things so I can get the color. But there's a lot of browns and greens in my life.
So, why is Edwin Jackson, who plays for a team that wears blue, not wearing shoes in that shade of blue?
Well, that's the thing that has changed. Is even the Met players do that. That they, there used to be a time where almost all the shoe companies, the color of the shoe, whether it was Nike or Adidas or whatever, they're about the same kind of hue. But that is no longer. Everyone has their own style.
1-1 to Lagares, who swung the bat well tonight. Now, when you played in Oakland, did you have to wear those horrible white shoes?
That was the hardest thing. The hardest thing was to look down at white shoes. Now, it was beautiful because when I was a kid, I wore white shoes in football or baseball.
So Joe Namath.
You feel faster in white shoes. You feel taller, but it looks funny when you're in a uniform.
Billy White Shoes Johnson,
right?
1-2 to Lagares, up and away.
I remember you guys used to wear, at the All-Star game, you guys used to wear white shoes.
I used to break out those Cadillac shoes in the All-Star game, absolutely. Only time I wore whites. When I was around, and when I came up, they were all black shoes.
Yeah.
And they just came in my second year when all the different companies came in.
Barney gets in front of it, handles it flawlessly. Side retired. Jackson has his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. 6 in the books now at Citi Field, with the Mets down 6-1. That's some blue. Tonight. Only the 4th time this year he's gone over 100 pitches. And so he gave the Cubs 6 innings tonight. And he will leave for a pinch hitter as we start the 7th.
Well, it's been a tough couple of months for Jackson, so he's got to feel pretty proud. 7 punch outs in 6 innings.
Julio Bourbon will be the pinch hitter. When Bourbon was last seen, he was being pummeled by his teammates. He ended the 5-hour and 7-minute 14-inning affair at Wrigley Field yesterday with a base hit that gave the Cubs the win, and at the same time snapped the Reds' 12-game Wrigley Field winning streak. It's the longest winning streak any visiting team had ever had at Wrigley Field. And it finally ended yesterday on Bourbon's hit in the 14th. David Aardsma working after getting the final out in the 6th, and he finds the inside corner. Aardsma got Darwin Barney to fly out to end the 6th inning. Ryan Sweeney on deck, then Starlin Castro for the Cubs in the 7th. Here's that splitter from Aardsma, 1-2.
Aardsma has a chance, Gary, to really help this ball club. You know, I always like guys that have completed games, saved games before in your bullpen, even if they're not saving them as setup men, because they've dealt with the pressure of getting those tough outs.
And he throws the fastball by Bourbon for his first strikeout.
See the grip of the fastball? That's a two-seamer. He's coming inside. It'll run back a little bit, and he just beats Bourbon.
Ardsma was a first-round draft pick by the Giants back in '03. Had a brief stint with San Francisco in his major league debut in '04, and then surfaced with the Cubs, pitched for the White Sox, Red Sox, and then those 2 special years he had in Seattle. I mean, really, other than those 2 years, he has never had a lot of big league success. He had kicked around and really struggled at the big league level, but seemed to find it those 2 years with the Mariners.
Was he the closer before Brandon League? I guess he probably was.
After J.J. Putz.
Like Edward Mujica has done for the Cardinals this year.
We had a very difficult time, if I remember what Putz's last name.
Why is that?
We had to be careful.
Sweeney fouls it off.
I had to work on that one.
Well, the bigger problem is that J.J. was really never healthy when he was with the Mets, and he has since gone on and pitched very well for Arizona.
But I think we always admired him because we knew he was pitching hurt, and that's that says something.
The question, I think, is, was he damaged goods when the Mets got him? And I think that's a question that never will really be answered. But he was a gamer. There's no question about that.
He's had a lot of success, hasn't he? Well, not this year, but last couple of years in Arizona.
Well, you got a couple of former Met relievers in Arizona, where, of course, Heath Bell now pitches. Here's the 1-2, and it's too high. 2-2 to Sweeney, who came in when David DeJesus was injured, crashing into the fence, chasing Juan Lagares' triple. Still haven't gotten a medical report on DeJesus, who I'm sure they've taken for X-rays.
I should know this, but I don't. They have X-rays and all those things here, don't they? In the ballpark?
I think they do. I don't know if they have the ability to do an MRI.
No,
but certainly an X-ray machine. I think all the new ballparks do. Seventh pitch of the at-bat coming from Ardsma to Sweeney. And he popped it up. Murphy making the call. 2 out. Now this was in the bottom of the third. Juan Lagares hitting one of the fence in right center, and DeJesus hitting that wall awfully hard, and apparently injuring his right shoulder.
Well, we're hoping that he comes out of this quickly. Smile on his face as he walked off. Gamer. And we were talking about DeJesus before the game today, and all of us were like, I like him as a player, you know? Like the way he plays.
He has very quietly had himself a nice career. Starlin Castro fouls it back. You know, he doesn't profile as a star, but as a guy who can lead off and get on base for you and play a good center field. He's had a very nice career. Started out as a real prospect with Kansas City, and then went to Oakland, and now with the Cubs. Castro's 0 for 3 today. James Russell, who seems to pitch on the Scott Rice schedule for the Cubs, is up in the bullpen.
We noticed, Ronnie, in that series in Chicago that Russell got up. He pitched every day. He got up and he throws every day.
7th inning.
Yeah, he tosses.
Even if he's not coming in the game,
every
he
day.
always gets up in the bullpen.
Wow. He played with his father in Oakland when he got traded over. It was Ruben Sierra, his father Jeff Russell, and Bobby Witt for Jose Canseco. Witter was awesome.
Witt had good stuff.
Yep.
The other guy from Texas that went over to Kent, the hard thrower. gosh, I can't think of his name. When they played that one year in the American League, he threw bullets, like a heavy ball. I can't.
Castro out on strikes. Second strikeout for Ardsma. So David Ardsman's coming in and retired 4 in a row. 7th inning stretch time. 6-1 Chicago. Visit your Honda dealer today for great deals. Only a Honda is a Honda. By StubHub. Next time you plan a trip to the ballpark, head to StubHub, where you can find great seats and earn great rewards. And by State Farm. Tonight's State Farm agent of the game is Gil Walton of the Bronx. Contact Gil's office at gilwalton.net. Sit down, Ernie.
You can't make up that stuff. That black cat going across in that dugout, in front of that Cub dugout. You can't make it up.
You could make it up if you sent it out there.
Maybe it was divine
Cubs
intervention.
Had a big lead all summer, and the Mets, starting with that series in July and continuing in the series in September, overtook them and beat them by 8 games. James Russell out of the Chicago bullpen. He's had a great year.
You're right. He is on Rice's game plan. 33rd game. Only 8 walks for James.
Colin Cowgill, the pinch hitter. First at bat for Cowgill since being recalled from Las Vegas. He appeared as a pinch runner yesterday.
I remember him from opening day.
Well, it's amazing how fortunes can change in this game. Coming out of spring training, Cowgill had played so well he earned not only the opening day center fielder's job, but Terry Collins said on the eve of the season he's going to be our center fielder. Not a platoon center fielder. He's going to be our center fielder. And that lasted about a week. And then after the grand slam on opening day, Cowgill struggled and he wound up back in the minor leagues. Smashes this pitch to deep center field. Back goes Sweeney near the wall, and it short hops the fence. It's opening day again for Colin Cowgill. A leadoff double.
We'd like to have the choice of pitches back. 0-2. Went upstairs with a fastball. Cowgill is a great high ball hitter.
Yes, he is. Not up, not enough, not elevated enough. Excuse me. A tough time spinning that one out.
Now Justin Turner will bat for Jordani Valdespin, who are the left-hander in the game. Valdespin was 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts tonight. Turner appeared as a pinch hitter last night with 2 men on in the 7th and grounded out. Valdespin getting his chance, but 0 for his last 12. And taken out here in a lefty-righty switch. 1-0 to Turner with Daniel Murphy on deck. Russell is working for the 3rd straight day. He worked an inning in that 14-inning game yesterday. And the off-speed pitch misses. 2-0. Cowgill at second and nobody out. Turner fouls it away. 1-2. Here's your AT&T trivia question for tonight. Who had the most hits against the Mets during the 1980s?
Well, that would be us, Ronnie. We should be thinking about that one. Have to be in division, obviously.
I got an idea.
Yeah, I think so. Turner lays off and it's 2-2.
Oh, I might have to change my mind now because of who the Mets are playing tonight.
Yeah, that was my first thought.
Yeah.
It might be related to the opponent.
Yeah.
Line right to Castro, and back to second base goes Cowgill. 1 away. So Turner's retired on the line drive, and now Daniel Murphy, who's driven in the only Met run tonight, with a 2-out single to center in the 3rd. Murphy's 1 for 3.
The first thought of that trivia was a little left fielder from Montreal. That was my first thought.
Oh, Tim Raines.
Oh, Tim Raines. That would have been a good call. Surprising it's if it's going to be a Cub, I'm surprised it's not Raines. But if it's a Cub, I have an idea who it is.
If it's Raines, really bad on my part.
I don't think it is.
No.
Here's Murphy, and Daniel swings through the fastball. I would have to guess that it's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I got you. Because one of the things in these trivia questions you got to put together, folks, is that the person played the entire 80s. That helps.
We're going to get a quick answer to the trivia question. I think it's Ryan Sandberg.
Or Dawson.
No, well maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to factor in that it's a guy that played the entire decade, and because that really helps.
And would have to be a guy that
in division
he hit second in the lineup too. He got a lot of at bats.
Oh, there you go.
We should explain, by the way, as that ball gets away from Navarro and over to 3rd goes Cowgill, for our younger fans, that the Cubs and the Cardinals used to be in the same division as the Mets back when there were only 2 divisions, 12 teams in the National League.
And no wild card, young men out there, young men and women.
The Mets were in the same division with the Phillies, the Expos, the Pirates, the Cubs, and the Cardinals for many, many years. So Sandberg's number 1 on the list. Tommy Herr is 2nd.
Okay.
Andre Dawson 3rd. Mike Schmidt 4th, and Raines is 5th.
Okay. I would not have thought Tommy Herr.
Little dribbler foul. Now, the other question, the corollary to that, is which Met had the most hits in the 80s?
Can you get our crack staff on it?
No, I got the answer right in my hand.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. If you think about it, it's pretty obvious because this guy spent all of the 80s, or at least until the middle of 89 as a Met.
Well, I mean, I would think it's a soon-to-be author.
Right. Now, you're not talking about Howie Rose or Doc.
How we put it in the book? He didn't put it on the field.
No, of course, it's Mookie Wilson.
Yeah.
And, and Keith is second on the list.
Really?
And Strawberry's third.
And shoot, if I hadn't gotten hurt.
You never know. Murphy smacks one through the hole, a base hit. Second run scoring hit for Murphy tonight. He's driven in both Met runs, and it's 6-2 Chicago.
Well, Murph driven in both runs tonight. And with 2 strikes going the other way, and that's what Murph does so well.
So a double, a wild pitch, and Murphy drives in Cowgill. And now David Wright will come to the plate to try and get the Mets a little closer. David's been on base 3 straight times tonight with 2 singles and a walk. As that batting average up to 294. So Russell pitching the 3rd straight day and struggling here in the 7th. And Wright fouls it away. David is 2 for 5 in his career against James Russell. Lucas Duda waiting on deck. The hits are all even now at 7 apiece.
He wants to throw the changeup.
And Wright lines one to center field. On comes Sweeney, and he'll play it on a hop. 3rd hit of the inning for New York. And David Wright's now 3 for 3.
Second night in a row for David.
Well, Russell spent this entire inning on just throwing pitches away to the hitters. Nothing inside. So a pitch off the plate is able to be driven into center field.
David, the last few days, has done such a great job of using the middle of the field. Hit the home run to center field 2 nights ago. He's got 8 hits now in his last 11 at bats, and it's been almost all to center and to right.
And a lot of 2-strike hits and pitches away.
Chris Bosio, the Cub pitching coach, is at the mound to talk with Russell. Nobody's up in that Chicago bullpen. We've been talking about it since early in the game. The fact that the Cubs played 14 innings yesterday and used 6 relievers for a total of 8 innings. And so they're a little shy in that bullpen tonight. And Bosio letting Russell know that he needs to get them through this inning.
And Bosio has a big league walk out to that mound.
That was their game with the Reds yesterday. The Cubs able to snap that 12-game Cincinnati Wrigley Field winning streak. The bullpen pitched exceedingly well, but for a long time.
How about the Reds striking out 19 times?
So now Lucas Duda will bat against Russell, who's given up 3 hits. The only out he's recorded was on a line drive to short by Turner. Duda struck out twice and walked 0 for 2. And he takes a letter high fastball for a strike. Duda 0 for 4 against Russell. Murphy at second, Wright at first with 1 out. Mets have been down from the outset tonight, trying to make some noise here in the 7th. And quickly, Russell gets ahead on Duda, 0-2. Marlon Byrd waits on deck.
Boy, you're right, Ronnie. Russell just away.
Barr with a nice stop that time after a wild pitch got by him earlier in the inning.
Yeah, perfect mechanics by Navarro.
He's built like a block, isn't he? Navarro.
A fire hydrant.
5'9", 210. One and 2 to Duda. And Lucas lines one over the shortstop base hit.
Murphy around third. He'll come in to score. Wright going to third. Soriano's throw. He may get him, and he is out. With the Mets down 3 runs, David Wright trying to take the extra base, and Soriano threw him out. That's the second out of the inning. Duda gets an RBI hit to make it 6-3 Chicago, but that is a costly out and keeps the Mets from getting the tying run to the plate.
Stays away. Nice hitting by Duda. Good base running by Murph. And now, nice throw by Soriano. David can't take this chance. That is just a poor choice. When you're down, you try to make things happen, do too much. That's just not good base running, and David knows it. You take your team right out of an inning here. Just potential big inning. Try to get back in the ball game.
So 2 runs are home in the inning, but now 2 out. And Marlon Byrd batting with a runner at first, and he swings over the curveball. Well, David so rarely makes base running mistakes. They are so glaring when they happen, and that's a big, big spot to run into an out. People take liberties on Soriano, but he's been throwing people out. That's his 6th outfield assist this year. Not a very long throw to make, and he made it perfectly. Another curveball, and it's 0-2 to Byrd.
I just wonder if you saw Murph freeze at second base on his lead because it wasn't sure whether Castro was going to catch that
Ball
play.
hit his glove.
David had to freeze too.
And David had to freeze too. Now, when David froze, David's got to realize he can't do it. Even though the pop gun arm of Soriano, he actually displayed a pretty good one right there.
0-2 to Byrd, and it's at his feet.
And we'll take a look at Dave. See, he's back. That's what cost him. That's that precious second.
You know what I think he was thinking there, guys? He saw Soriano going to his left. No way he's going to spin and throw to third. He's going to lob the ball back into second base. And unconventionally, he made that play.
But you've got to play safety first when you're down runs.
Especially, you mentioned the open, and Gary's mentioned it a couple times. Your slugger the past week has been Marlon Byrd.
Well, if Wright stops a second on that play, Bird's the tying run at the plate. Mets have had 4 hits in the inning. They scored twice, but that's a huge out. Duda at first with 2 out. Russell's 25th pitch of the inning coming up. And Byrd wastes that one. Boy, you know who loved that play? James Russell. He's got nobody behind him in that bullpen warming up.
He's throwing some helicopters up there too.
Again, the 1-2 to Byrd, and he struck him out with a fastball. So the Mets score twice, but they take themselves out of a bigger inning as Alfonso Soriano guns down David Wright at third base, trying to take the extra base. Soriano makes the play, and the Cubs lead 6-3 after 7. half. So a gibbous? No, that's more than a half, right?
Well, we got Foreigner tonight.
Yeah,
it would have been nice if you had Pink Floyd there.
There you go. Dark side of the moon. Justin Turner, who pinch hits, stays in the game at second base. And Josh Edgin will pitch in the top of the 8th.
I was pretty impressed with the last appearance of Edgin. The last couple appearances, he's gotten a little better than he was when he was sent down to AAA. Throwing his fastball more and throwing it more to spots.
Worked yesterday. One hit, scoreless inning in the 9th. Nate Scherholtz, Alfonso Soriano, and Anthony Rizzo, 3, 4, and 5 in the Chicago batting order. Cubs got a run in the first on a Scherholtz home run, 4 in the second. They added a run in the 6th. All of that tagged to Sean Markham. And Scherholtz takes inside ball 1. Markham went 5 2/3, allowed 6 runs and 7 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a home run, and in danger of falling to 0-8 unless the Mets rally tonight. There's a good slider by Edgin. 1-1. David Aardsma faced 4 batters in relief and looked good again. Retired them all, struck out a pair. Aardsma could be a piece for this team. You know, we've talked a lot about bullpen construction over the last couple of weeks, and sometimes it's just a matter of getting the right guy at the right time.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, we just saw the Cardinals come in. Mujica, good, solid reliever that always seemed to me to be a guy that would pitch maybe in the 7th, occasionally get an out in the 8th. And now he's perfect in his save opportunities.
Although he certainly staggered to the finish yesterday.
He did. He bounced just one too many for Josh Sattler.
Well, Carlos Marmol, who used to be the Cubs closer, getting ready to pitch the 8th inning tonight. Kevin Gregg is their closer now, and he's been superb. Punch to third. Wright has it on the backhand, and the overhand throw in time to get Scherholtz one away.
Well, it'll be an adventure when Marmol comes in. He can walk the ballpark.
He also can strike out the ballpark.
You know what's amazing too? Not only do they have Marmol in that bullpen now, they've got Henry Rodriguez.
That's right.
Who they picked up after the Nationals designated him for assignment.
He's in that. Is he in uniform already? Yo, is he?
I'll have to check.
Yeah.
They just did pick him up. No, not activated.
Okay, not yet. That's why I didn't see his name on the roster.
Here's Alfonso Soriano, who's 0 for 3. But probably made the play of the game a few moments ago, throwing out David Wright at third base. Cubs 6 runs, 7 hits. The Mets 3 runs and 9 hits. Anthony Rizzo waiting on deck. Shallow right toward the line comes Bird, and he gets there, 2 out. So Edgin's retired the first 2. Anthony Rizzo coming up. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple standing by with this game break.
Wow.
Chris Tillman now 7-2 for the Orioles. 6 scoreless innings tonight. So Chris Davis had the game-winning hit yesterday in the 13th inning, and today he hits the home run. Anthony Rizzo gets one past Turner, and he is on base. 3rd hit of the night for Rizzo, a 2-out single.
Got a few guys with 3 hits tonight.
Coming into this game, Rizzo was hitting a $108 in June.
High fastball. Right down the middle, and he hits it just out of the reach of Turner.
So a 2-out base runner for the Cubs, and now Dioner Navarro, who's 1 for 3. Singled and scored in the 2nd. Navarro turning around about right-handed for the first time tonight. He is 9 for 17 with 3 home runs as a right-hand batter this year.
Yeah, he's batting what, 529 or something, right-handed. I mean, gee. And he gets to start left-handed, probably because Castro Caught the game yesterday.
By the way, another note from that Boston-Baltimore game today. Manny Machado, 30 doubles.
Wow.
Record 67.
I was going to say he's on pace for 70, right? Or in that area. That young man can hit. Is he 21 yet? He was 20 last year.
Maybe just.
Who's got the record at 67?
Earl Webb, I believe.
Earl Webb.
Fastball strike, 1-1 to Navarro.
I think Tris Speaker's got the record for most all time.
Yes.
In the 700s somewhere, I believe.
I got a big kick out of a book I read that when Tris Speaker retired and he saw DiMaggio in center field, he thought DiMaggio played too deep.
Well, Speaker.
He got on a Joe DiMaggio.
Speaker, they say, played right behind second base.
Back in the dead ball era.
Line down the left field line. Navarro has a base hit. Backhanded nicely by Duda, and that'll force Rizzo to stop at second. Nicely played by Duda.
Yeah. Very nice play by Lucas. Slider that just stayed flat. He got underneath it. Nice backhand by Lucas. Cuts it off. That was trouble if it gets down the line.
So Navarro's now 10 for 18 as a right-hand batter. By the way, Machado, 3 weeks till his 21st birthday. And he's got 30 doubles.
Wow.
Also tonight, the Pirates have another shutout win. Jeff Locke, 7 innings, 2 hits, and they shut out the Dodgers 3-0.
What a year he's having so far. We saw him pitch here and throw outstanding baseball.
Yasiel Puig in defeat, 2 more hits. Here's Valbuena, and the good slider by Edwin to start him off. Luis Valbuena drove on a run with a long double to right center in the 6th. Nationals lost tonight in Cleveland 2-1. Indians scratched out a run in the bottom of the 9th. So after Washington had gotten back over 500, now they're back at 500. They just can't seem to get anything rotating.
Davies growing sideburns now as we speak.
I mean, Zimmerman had a big game last night.
Yep.
They beat Colorado. What a devastating game that was for the Rockies last night, losing Tulowitzki.
Tulowitzki and Gonzalez got hit in the on-deck circle.
Right. Hit on the foot, and then Dexter Fowler got hit on the hand and came out of the game too. But Tulo's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken rib, and he was tearing it up.
MVP type numbers.
2-2 to Valbuena. A Coors Light cold hard fact for you. Through 68 games, Manny Machado 30 doubles. Under the age of 22 since 1920, the most. More than Williams, more than Maggio. It's pretty good company, right?
Anytime the guys are in black and white in the graphic, you know you're good.
It's an outstanding point. 2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Valbuena. And Edwin couldn't get that ball over the plate. 3-2. Earl Webb, by the way, 67 doubles in 1931, the record. The most any active players had in the season. Todd Helton had 59 in 2000. 3-2. Runners get set to go. Rizzo and Navarro, and Valbuena down on strikes. Edwin with the fastball strikes out Valbuena to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Mets down 3. Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. The mercurial Carlos Marmol comes on to pitch the bottom of the 8th for the Cubs.
Well, you don't know what you're going to get. You see the walks to strikeouts, but since 2007, he has struck out 642 batters out of the bullpen, and he's had a year where he saved 38 and struck out 138. So he can be, when he's on top of his game, unhittable.
Well, he loves his slider, and that's been his issue. And he throws hard, and he just wants to strike everybody out. The 20 walks in what, 22 innings, but that's just unacceptable running.
Well, it's acceptable. He's out there.
Well, he lost the closer's role last year, got it back. Lost the closer's role again this year, and it doesn't appear he's always going to get it back. And he has been a little bit less erratic in the 8th inning than he was in the 9th.
Kevin Gregg was in spring training with the Dodgers and was let go and then signed in the beginning, like in April at some point.
The Dodgers have already made a change of closer from Brandon League to Kenley Jansen, although that was pretty inevitable.
Yeah.
The way Jansen had been throwing. John Buck leads off in the home 8th inning. Mets down 6-3. Buck's 0 for 3 tonight, and Marmol misses away ball 1. Also tonight, Miami beat St. Louis 5-4. Jose Fernandez, 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 10 strikeouts. Giancarlo Stanton, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs. Buck pops it up a mile high. Rizzo's going to come down to find it because Navarro can't see it, and it lands untouched.
No,
the second one that Navarro has been unable to locate tonight.
First baseman's ball. First baseman's ball all the way.
I will say this. I don't know if it's whether he can't see the ball, Navarro. I don't think Navarro likes to catch pop-ups. That's what I think the issue is.
Look at him looking.
You're not even going for it.
First baseman, you're there. You got there. It's your ball. I'm sorry. It's your ball.
So Buck gets a life. And gives it back. 1-2.
Marmol's one of those pitchers that you're tempted, no one will ever do it, to go up there and not swing the bat. You might be able to walk the bases loaded.
Buck slams one down the right field line. That'll slice and just go foul.
Well, he got a lot more on that than I thought.
Almost made it to the foul pole. Didn't miss home run by all that much.
Well, Marmol's very strong. Look at how he cups that baseball, and it's down below his knee. And that's why he's deceptive. That's why he has that devastating slider. But it's also why he can't throw strikes.
Buck fouls off the slider.
There's a hanger right there.
Reaches down to the ground. No, we've shown it a couple times. Matt Harvey reaches the second base. He just reaches straight down, hides it behind his back leg, and lets it fly.
It's a rare fastball, 94 mile an hour,
and a quick pitch too. So.
Almost made more relief appearances than any Cub in history. Spent 14 years now in their organization. It's a lot of roll aids for a lot of managers. 2-2. Off the bare hand of Marmol, and he recovers in time to throw out Buck. Well, he wasn't in position to use his glove, so he used the only thing he had, which was his feet hand.
Well, when you're trying to field the baseball facing second base, facing backwards, it makes it very difficult. But he catches it off, hopefully, the meaty part of his hand.
He did.
Just follow through. It's a crossover almost to first base.
Del Swam will come out with the trainer to make sure that Marmol's hand is okay. He doesn't want to talk to them.
I think he's tying his shoe.
That's why he's tying his shoe. He doesn't want to talk to them.
Honestly, what are they going to look? They're not listening to the pitcher saying, I'm all right. They're looking to see, did he catch him in the fingers or did he catch him in the meaty part right below your thumb? That's what they want to see.
Looks like he's more toward the heel of the hand.
Yeah.
In any event, he's okay. He'll stay in to face Omar Quintanilla, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Quintanilla now 0 for his last 13 after a terrific start. We heard today that Ruben Tejada is taking grounders and running in the pool as he tries to come back from his quad injury.
Remember, Keith, your dad, I'm sure, said it. On game day, you can't go in the pool, right? You never can.
Gene Tennis can't make the club while sitting in the tub.
Sounds funny, though, doesn't it? Running in the pool.
It does.
No stress.
And this is no
the reason they do it.
We're not at all ridiculing Ruben. He's got a pulled muscle and he's got to be in the tub.
Well, he missed, what, 6 weeks last year when he hurt the quad, and he's hoping that it won't be quite as long this time.
He hurt it when he pancaked over first base, right?
Yeah.
Last year you're talking.
Yes.
2-1 to Quintanilla.
Let's see if he throws fastball here. 2-1 to a hitter that's not, although he has home runs, we wouldn't consider him a home run hitter. Yes, he did.
For the slider, and it sits high. 3-2.
Probably the only time we saw the hitter raise up, catcher raise up, the umpire raised up on a pitch that probably was a strike.
It's a hard pitch to get called a strike, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
3-2, and he fouls off another slider. I mean, it's a 6-3 game, 1 out and nobody on, with, as you say, a non-home run hitter at the plate. How do you throw a slider on 3-2?
That's because he wants to strike you out.
Well, and I've also talked to the people of Chicago. He has better command of his slider than he does of his fastball, which I know it's hard to even fathom.
And work on his fastball.
Little looper behind third, and Valbuena is there, catches it in foul ground. 2 out. So Quintanilla retired, 2 out and nobody on. Now Juan Lagares. Lagares hit a triple to right center and scored a run in the third. Hit a long fly ball to center that was run down, and then grounded out his last time up. Neuenhuis out on deck to pinch hit if Lagares can keep the inning going. Mets trailed 5-0 and 6-1 in this game. Got a couple of runs in the 7th, but ran themselves out of a chance for more. And now Marmol has retired the first 2 in the 8th. One and 1 to Lagares. And that's a strike on the outside corner, a fastball, 1-2. Texas tonight. Mark Burley 7 scoreless innings for the Blue Jays. They're up 8-0 in the ninth, and all of a sudden Texas can't score.
Lost 3 in a row, right?
2 games behind Oakland. The A's have won 21 of their last 26 after that 18-inning marathon against the Yankees.
Burley now with 2 good starts in a row.
How about the Yankees middle of the order in that 18-inning game? 4 through 7. Teixeira, Hafner, Youkilis, and Wells 0 for 28. That's almost impossible.
It happens. It's tough, but it happens.
That was, I'm telling you, the Yankees' performance in that game was reminiscent of the Mets' performance in the 20-inning game against the Marlins.
I was going to say, I've seen it happen.
Well, there's the nasty slider by Marmol, and he takes care of Lagares to end the inning. So Marmol fashions a 1-2-3 inning, and we head to the ninth at Citi Field with the Cubs up 6-3. Hey, foreigners after the game. Final game of this series. Jeremy Hefner against Matt Garza Sunday, 12:30 on SNY. Tomorrow's game will be on Pix 11. Geico Sports Night, the only show that's only New York sports. What's coming up tonight? Well, I'll tell you what's coming up tonight. Victor Cruz, Mark Messier, golf in Pennsylvania. Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame, right here on SNY.
I'm proud of you that you knew the golfers in Pennsylvania.
I only knew that because of the weather.
Oh, okay.
They had weather problems yesterday, so I knew it was close to home.
It was close to Haverford, so you know that school. Did you see Greg Burke? His last outing was 3 days ago. He struggled in 2/3 inning, giving up a couple of runs against the Cardinals.
Jason Darwin Barney leading off the ninth, and it's hit past the mound, but Quintanilla behind the bag throws out Barney. Nice play, 1 away. And now Scott Hairston is going to come up to pinch hit. Scott, who spurned the Mets' offer to accept one from the Cubs after having a tremendous year for the Mets last year, not going quite so well in Chicago.
What kind of deal did he get? How many years? I'm not going to say it. Did he get a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal? Or?
I think he got a 2-year deal.
Okay.
And also, I think Scott was looking for more playing time, although that playing time has not really happened because he got off to such a bad start. He does have 5 home runs, though. It's not the best matchup for him against a side-arming right-hander. But Del Swaim doesn't have a lefty left on his bench. After David DeJesus got hurt early in the game, he had to go to Ryan Sweeney, and then he used Julio Bourbon, his other left-handed pinch hitter. So it's Hairston in this spot against Burke.
really the only way you can judge Greg Burke if you're the manager. You see Kevin Gray getting ready to close it. Is how many ground balls does he get? Strikeouts are good, but you want your sidearmer to get ground ball after ground ball. Why? Well, if you're in a tough situation late in the game, you can bring him in and try to get a double play, first and third, one out.
One, two from Burke, and Hairston checks his swing and stopped it in time. Good Carapazza with the call. 2-2. Kansas City won again tonight. That's 9 of 10. They beat Tampa Bay 7-2. George Brett having an impact?
I believe so.
He had an impact by not having an impact. Telling them not to go back to basics.
See the ball and hit it.
You're saying he pulled a Paul McCartney? You let him be?
You let him be.
Throw away the computers, all the stats. See the ball and hit it.
Mets once had a hitting coach named Tom McCraw who preached that in a more colorful way. Burke strikes out Hairston. 2 out. Let's check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Post Game Live. Chris Carlin, Bobby Valentine, Bobby Ojeda, guys. All right, we'll see you guys in a bit. Here's the view from center field. That's Greg Burke throws a strike to Ryan Sweeney. It's a good view from there. We should do a game from that spot.
Yeah, right.
That low center field view. It's out behind the Big Apple seats in center field.
Not enough light for you, Gary, to do your scorecard, maybe.
Yeah, we'll always get a desk lamp.
Nice. It's like an old time shot.
A couple of the people out there actually watching. Sweeney's 0 for 2 since coming in for the injured DeJesus. And he hits one in the air to left field. Should be easy for Duda. And so Burke throws a 1-2-3 top of the ninth. And now the Mets are going to work against Kevin Gregg in the bottom of the ninth. 6-3 Chicago. Gregg has found a new life in Chicago.
Well, you know, here's a guy that was in spring training, released by the Dodgers, signed by the Cubs, who he pitched for before, got ready for the season, and came in and took over the closer job. Has been perfect.
Just the last couple of years in Baltimore.
Got more strikeouts than he usually has. He's the kind of guy that gets a lot of ground balls, has a sinking fastball and slider, but striking out people this year.
And he started to throw his splitter more this year. Kirk Neuenhuis will be the pinch hitter. Leading off in the last of the ninth. And he takes a strike. It's been a rough go for Neuenhuis since his recall. 0 for 3 yesterday. 0 for 11 since he returned. Justin Turner on deck, then Daniel Murphy. And if anybody gets on, David Wright here in the last of the ninth. The Cubs 6 runs and 9 hits. The Mets 3 runs and 9 hits. And Neuenhuis takes the splitter a little high, 1-2. Edwin Jackson went the first 6 for Chicago. A lot of run on 5 hits. James Russell gave up 2 in the 7th, but Carlos Marmol pitched a 1-2-3-8. And now Gregg trying to save it. Gregg first came up with the Angels. We saw him with the Marlins as their closer. Went to the Cubs for the first time in 09, then Toronto, Baltimore, and now back in Chicago for a second go-round. And he really has never been better. And he gets Neuenhuis with a fastball for the first out in the last of the ninth. And Kirk's woes at the plate continue.
Outside corner fastball, and not much rotation of the hips on that swing.
Justin Turner came up as a pinch hitter in the 7th and lined out, and then stayed in the game at second base. The Mets in danger of falling to 14 games under 500 for the first time this season. I didn't think it was quite that cool tonight.
Come on. That's overkill.
No, she wanted to get on TV. She did.
At least she's warm. She's probably a big foreigner fan. She was cold as ice, so she bundled up, and now she's
going to be here for another couple hours too, right?
Exactly. They sang the national anthem, by the way, tonight, Warner. They were fantastic.
They were really wonderful.
I mean, you never know with, you know, these bands that have been around for 30 years whether they can still bring it.
They brought it, and the harmony.
They really put a lot of thought into that national anthem, and you know, we're not just saying that. I thought it was one of the best national anthems I've heard all year.
Turner to straightaway center. Sweeney back, has it measured. 2 out. So the Mets are down to their final out of the night. And Daniel Murphy coming to the plate. Murphy has been the bright spot in the Mets offense tonight. A couple of run-scoring singles, 2 for 4.
Keith, in our playing days, we hung out a little bit with Mick Jones, who was one of the founders of Foreigner.
Yep.
I didn't see him on the field though before the game.
Nick, of course, was always a regular up at the Lanes with his lovely wife Ann.
Mick Jones and Ian McDonald, who was with King Crimson.
Remember that King Crimson album with the cartoon with the big mouth? That was one of the great album covers.
One and one to Murphy.
Wasn't one of the guys in that King Crimson, didn't he go to Emerson, Lake and Palmer? I'm not sure.
Murphy hits it right at Barney, and that'll do it. 1-2-3 ninth inning for Kevin Gregg seals the deal Cubs score 5 runs in the first 2 innings against Sean Markham, who falls to 0-8. And the Mets lose for the 9th time in their last 11 as Chicago wins 6-3.
Well, not a lot of bright spots for the Mets other than the bullpen after Markham left the ball game. You talked about the 0-8 record, Gary, and a little bit of offense, but not enough for the Mets as the Cubs play 2 in a row now for the Cubbies.
Well, the big triple, 3 RBI triple, bases loaded triple, that 4-run second that made it a 5-0 ball game. Mets couldn't overcome it. Mets tried to rally in the 7th. David Wright got thrown out, trying to go first and third. That kind of put a damper on that 2-run rally. Not enough.
Edwin Jackson wins his 2nd straight, and the Cubs win 6-3. We'll have more coming up from Citi Field in just a moment.